eyes open. Hi, this is Joe Durand of the Detroit Pistons, and you're listening to Eyes Open with Tony Brown.
Hi, this is Shaka Khan, and we're listening to Eyes Open with Tony Brown.
God bless you. This is Dick Gregory. You're listening to Eyes Open with Brother Tony Brown. Good God. And you're listening to Eyes Open with Tony Brown.
Well, let me say this. I'm very honored to be on, because anyone that knows anything knows that Louisiana, if you're not listening to Tony Brown, your eyes are not open yet.
This is Reverend Dr. Beck. You're listening to Eyes Open with Tony Brown and Keep Hope Alive.
Eyes Open News Summary 603. Happy Tuesday to you. News and weather coming up very shortly. Right now I have Paul Tony, Summer Rain, good morning.
I need you. Rapides Primary Healthcare Center is your federally qualified community healthcare center and is located at 1217 Willow Glen River Road in Alexandria. They are now accepting new patients. Are you tired of spending long hours in hospital emergency rooms waiting to receive non-critical healthcare services? Do you need affordable medical, dental, and mental health care? Do you need quality health care for you and your baby for prenatal, during pregnancy, and up until adulthood? Do you need to sign your family up for the Affordable Care Act or Medicaid? Then look no further than Rapides Primary Healthcare Center. It is the affordable, timely answer to all your family's health care needs. All services are available to anyone regardless of their ability to pay. You or your family will never be turned away. Rapides Primary is certified kid med site with a sliding fee scale. Payment is based on income and size of family. Medicaid, Medicare, and most commercial insurance are accepted for medical services. For appointments and information on all medical services, including Obamacare and Medicaid, call 318-487-4400. That's 318-487-4400. Rapides Primary Healthcare Center, a new beginning in quality health care and a proud impact partner of the Eyes Open Radio Network.
Sweat. Saturday, June 26th at 8 p.m. Paragon Casino Resort. Tickets on sale now and start at $29 and can be purchased at Ticketmaster.com. Keep Sweat. Saturday, June 26th at 8 p.m. Paragon Casino Resort.
Hello, Sinla. I'm Dr. Kelvin Spears, Chief Medical Officer of Alexandria Emergency Hospital, located at 5900 Coliseum Boulevard, next to Wendy's. Our mission at Alexandria Emergency Hospital is to provide our patients, both adults and children, with the best possible healthcare experience, with short wait times and a relaxing environment. Alexandria Emergency Hospital is open 24/7, 365. We have board-certified doctors available for expert pediatric and adult care for both inpatients and ER services. We can provide outpatient services like MRI, X-ray, ultrasound, and CT scans. We have a clinical lab and on-site pharmacy that can facilitate inpatient stays through our state-of-the-art hospital room. For more information about our services, you can give us a call at 318-386-8110. That's 318-386-8110. Or visit us online at www.alexandriaer.com. Again, I'm Dr. Kelvin Spears, and remember, for all your emergency needs, come see us at Alexandria Emergency Hospital, your hometown ER and hospital.
Hi, this is Bianca Brown, the Mobile Sensei Lady. Are you looking for a dream job? Well, you need to give me a call today. I'm looking for new recruits to join my team of Sensei consultants. Join Sensei today and get your starter kit for only $99 plus shipping and tax. Benefits include additional income, flexibility, incredible friendships, world-class training, recognition, personal growth, discounts on amazing Sensei products, and the opportunity to earn fabulous incentive trips around the world like the all-expense paid trip I earned in Cancun, Mexico. interested in joining Cincy? Give me a call today at 318-618-1832. That's 318-618-1832. Please refer to my website, lapeacefulsense.cincy.us for our income disclosure statement.
This morning, and right now I'm feeling fine. I wanna go back. Yes, I do. Mr. Jones. We got a thing. It's much too strong to let it go down. We gotta be extra careful. But we don't go down just up too high. But she's got a whole obligation. So, and so, you are Mr. Joe. We got a thing going on. We both know it's wrong, but it's much too strong to let it go now. Well, it's time for us to get it hurts so much inside. Now she'll go away and I'll go mine. Tomorrow we'll meet the same place, the same time. Mr. Jones. We gotta be extra careful.
Trish Edwards, City News Manager for the Drum newspaper in Ponchatoula and Baton Rouge. My job is to make sure your stories get told. I make sure you know what's happening in your community. Whether that's exciting, informative, or just entertainment, your news matters at the Drum. But we can't do it all alone, and no one knows the community better than you. That's why I'm asking you to share your stories with me. At the Drum, we believe a community that is informed is a strong one. So if you've got important news, witty insight, upcoming events, or even a wedding announcement, call me at 225-927-3717 or email me news to news@thedrumnewspaper.info. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter today as we report your news.
Hello, Sinlaw. I'm Dr. Kelvin Spears, Chief Medical Officer of Alexandria Emergency Hospital, located at 5900 Coliseum Boulevard, next to Wendy's. Our mission at Alexandria Emergency Hospital is to provide our patients, both adults and children, with the best possible healthcare experience, with short wait times and a relaxing environment. Alexandria Emergency Hospital is open 24/7, 365. We have board-certified doctors available for expert pediatric and adult care for both inpatient and ER services. We can provide outpatient services like MRI, X-ray, ultrasound, and CT scans. We have a clinical lab and on-site pharmacy and can facilitate inpatient stays through our state-of-the-art hospital rooms. For more information about our services, you can give us a call at 318-386-8110. That's 318-386-8110. Or visit us online at www.alexandriaer.com. Again, I'm Dr. Kelvin Spears, and remember, for all your emergency needs, come see us at Alexandria Emergency Hospital, your hometown ER and hospital.
Hey y'all, spring is here and you're ready to get out and celebrate. Here's what's happening around the state. June 3rd through 5th, Bugs and Bones in Kickapoo. June 4th through 6th, Fine Knowledge and Games and Sicilian Heritage Festival in Independence. June 5th, the Peach Festival in Ruston and Cajun Country Jam in Gonzales. So make your plans to Lazy Moto Rulo. This is Lieutenant Governor Bill Gasser. Plan your road trip at LouisianaIsATrip.com.
Hi, this is Dolores with Robinson Family Mortuary. The COVID-19 pandemic has been devastating to our community, and we have served numerous families affected by it. Planning a funeral is difficult, but a sudden loss during this pandemic can be even more stressful. Robinson Family Mortuary can help ease your stress and serves all of Central Louisiana, including Natchitoches, Oakdale, Marksville, Leesville, Fort Polk, and most every parish in the entire state. The newly renovated Robinson Family Mortuary is located at 1815 Military Highway in Pineville, and we can be reached anytime by calling 318-442-7300. That's 318-442-7300, or visit us online at robinsonfm.com. Robinson Family Mortuary, without delay, can arrange for a traditional funeral service, cremation, ship in or ship out, including military. We accept all assignable and verifiable life insurance policies. With just one call to 318-442-7300, all of your homegoing needs can be taken care of at our newly remodeled Robinson Family Mortuary. Robinson Family Mortuary, a family serving families.
Sinlaw. I'm Dr. Kelvin Spears, Chief Medical Officer of Alexandria Emergency Hospital, located at 5900 Coliseum Boulevard, next to Wendy's. Our mission at Alexandria Emergency Hospital is to provide our patients, both adults and children, with the best possible healthcare experience, with short wait times and a relaxing environment. Alexandria Emergency Hospital is open 24/7, 365. We have board-certified doctors available for expert pediatric and adult care for both inpatient and ER services. We can provide outpatient services like MRI, X-ray, ultrasound, and CT scans. We have a clinical lab and on-site pharmacy and can facilitate inpatient stays through our state-of-the-art hospital room. For more information about our services, you can give us a call at 318-386-8110. That's 318-386-8110. Or visit us online at www.alexandriaer.com. Again, I'm Dr. Kelvin Spears, and remember, for all your emergency needs, come see us at Alexandria Emergency Hospital, your hometown ER and hospital.
Eye-catching elegance, compelling styles, luxurious comfort. These are the features you look for in your furniture. At Trotters, it's what we're all about. And choosing your look gets easier with our design consultants, Molly Hunt and Rebecca Smith. Trotters has 2 stories and over 20,000 square feet of Central Louisiana's most sought-after furniture. And it's all available with 24 months no interest financing. Your home is your favorite place. Love it even more with new furniture because everything's better when you get it from Trotters.
Hi, this is Bianca Brown, the Mobile Sentry Lady. Are you looking for a dream job? Well, you need to give me a call today. I'm looking for new recruits to join my team of Sentry consultants. Join Sentry today and get your starter kit for only $99 plus shipping and tax. Benefits include additional income, flexibility, incredible friendships, world-class training, recognition, personal growth, discounts on amazing Sentry products, and the opportunity to earn fabulous incentive trips around the world, like the all-expense-paid trip I earned to Cancun, Mexico. Interested in joining Sentry? Give me a call today at 318-618-1832. That's 318-618-1832. Please refer to my website, lapeacefulsense.sensi.us, for our income disclosure statement.
Hey y'all, spring is here and you're ready to get out and celebrate. Here's what's happening around the state. June 3rd through 5th, Bugs and Games in Kickapoo. June 4th through 6th, Vinage and Games and Sicilian Heritage Festival in Independence. June 5th, the Peach Festival in Ruston and Cajun Country Jam in Gonzales. So make your plans to Laissez Le Bon Temps. This is Lieutenant Governor Bill Newgasser. Plan your road trip at LouisianaIsATrip.com.
And 11:10 a.m. KGTP, Alexandria Pineville. It's time for the scripture of the day. And now, the beautiful Bianca Brown.
Good morning, it's Bianca Brown with your scripture of the day. Today's scripture comes from the book of James, chapter 3, verse 2. For in many things we offend all. If any man offend not in word, the same is a perfect man, and able also to bridle the whole body. Today's scripture is being brought to you by the Monroe Street Church of Christ in Alexandria, Louisiana. If you would like to learn more about how you cannot offend by word, you can do so by contacting the church. Give the Monroe Street Church of Christ a call at 318-448-2494 and ask to speak with Brother Jesse Allen. Or as always, you can write the Monroe Street Church of Christ at 2008 Monroe Street, Alexandria, Louisiana, 71301. As we always say, we will continue to lift you up in prayer in the precious name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
It's time for the Daily Bread with Tony Brown.
Change. Read Matthew 3, 1 through 12. Matthew 3, 1 through 12. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Therefore bear fruits worthy of repentance. Matthew 3, 2 and 8. Medical studies have shown that even though people who have had heart bypass surgery are told they must change their lifestyle or die, about 90% do not change. Typically 2 years after surgery, the patients haven't altered their lifestyle. It seems that most would rather die than change. Just as doctors preach a message of non-compliance, physical change to prevent death, John the Baptist came preaching a message of spiritual change. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand, Matthew 3:2. He was preparing the way for the ultimate manifestation of God's reign, the Messiah, Jesus Christ. Repentance means to change one's mind and attitude about God, which ultimately changes a person's actions and decisions. Those who repent and accept Christ's provisions for forgiveness from their sins through his death on the cross will escape spiritual death. John 3:16. Repentance involves confessing sins with godly sorrow and then forsaking sin. John the Baptist was calling people to turn away from one way of living to ways that honor God. Today the Lord is calling us to repent and then to respond with the fruits worthy of repentance, Matthew 3:8. Repentance is to leave the sin that we had loved before and showing we are grieved by it, by doing it no more. Repentance means hating sin enough to turn away from it. I'm Tony Brown, and that's today's Daily Bread.
Eyes of the news time, 36 minutes past the hour. Right here in your premier morning news magazine, time for lunch. You look here, people say good morning, baby. How are you, baby?
Good morning.
You okay on this terrific Tuesday?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it then. Top of the morning to you on this terrific Tuesday, as we just said. All the news you can use coming up in just a few minutes. I was late, as usual, but kudos again for that. We are most appreciative. We'll touch base with the National Weather Service on the Lake Charles as record heat indices are being reported not only throughout the state, but certainly throughout the country, particularly in the lower portions and on the west coast. That's wreaking some havoc when it comes to wildfires that you know are very problematic in those often hot, dry regions. We will revisit with Dr. David Holcomb this morning. He's going to be off for the next 3 days, so we're going to talk a little bit this morning with him. We've got Dr. Michael Panahan, the Louisiana NAACP president, national board member, about this case that has resurfaced as of yesterday in the Baton Rouge Advocate, in which some members of the Baton Rouge Police Department, according to a whistleblower who is a public himself, Arden, former police officer, who is talking about how they boast for years and to this day about beating this unarmed black man to death at the Baton Rouge Police Department. So we will talk talk about that. We'll revisit with Representative Sam Jenkins, who gave us a great, awesome wrap-up. He's the Shreveport chair of the House side of the Louisiana Democratic Caucus. Last-minute legal effort to cure federal unemployment 2 months early. I think that's gonna pass before benefits run out, and some other things you may not know that took place. Decriminalizing marijuana, making medicinal marijuana flower available to people who have a prescription legally in the state of Louisiana. Mandatory kindergarten, making Juneteenth a state holiday, so that means next year everybody in the state will be off. They will be off with pay, state workers will. And also there's a couple of other things you may want to know about requiring Black history to be a part of the TOPS requirement of academic studies before you can qualify for it. All of that is some good stuff, and of course we're going to get a chance to revisit with the Media Rights segment. The People's Lawyer Walter David, we're trying to do that at the 8 o'clock hour as well. All the news you can use coming up at the bottom of the hour. Some national stories we'll be sharing with you this morning. You have any national stories on there? That's some good stuff. We're doing positive news this morning, particularly some Black history. Homeless student from Florida graduated from high school as a valedictorian of his class. These are inspirational, particularly for young people. 14-year-old girl from Chicago earned her master's degree. We'll tell you about that. Gee whiz, master's at 14. Texas, Ohio teen who makes history. He graduated from college before finishing high school. How is that possible, you say? Well, he did it. Did you see the one about this 7-year-old boy? Did you see his picture? Oh, he is going to be a beast. See if he can keep it up. We're going to introduce you to the 7-year-old smashing records as the fastest boy in America. He's 7 years old. I mean, he has a perfect form. Somebody's teaching this kid well, but he's fast. And of course, we're going to introduce you to the 94th Black woman to have raised $1 million in venture capital for her own startup. She is out of Austin, Texas. Those stories we're going to share with you this morning. Also, your statewide news, you can use, there's a lot of stuff in the news this morning. Alexandria police make an arrest in a cold homicide case that dates back to 2019 of December. The Rapids Parish Sheriff's Office finally releases the full list of names from the Liberty Arsenal shooting, all young men, all African American, and a couple of them killed. Bond has been saying over $4 million. Those would probably be the shooters in that case. Out of Alexandria, the Rapids Parish Sheriff's Office and Crime Stoppers is asking for the public's help in identifying a male suspect who actually is seen in the video pouring liquor. Victim allegedly died after severe intoxication, pouring liquor down the victim's throat. The man is claimed as between 18 and 25 years old. And I'm not saying anything about the victim. The victim paid a fine for severe intoxication and died at the community hospital. Alcohol can kill you. And somebody's pouring liquor down somebody's throat. That's problematic. Denham Springs, woman, 85 years old, killed in a 3-vehicle crash involving a fire engine in Denham Springs. We'll tell you about that tragic story. 2 people died in 3 vehicle crashes on I-12 near Millerville Road, police say. 1 person killed, 2 injured in a car crash in Florida Boulevard in Baton Rouge. Car catches fire on the King Thruway near Perkins Road. Troy Middleton's descendants filed a lawsuit against LSU. They want the military collection returned this after the university disavowed, of course, the former Confederate general, and president he wasn't former Confederate general, he was. I can find it, but let me see. Troy Middleton was he served as president. He wasn't a general, but he was a president of LSU back in 1951 and 1962. Nothing to do with the Confederacy, although he had the same type of attitude as they did. So they removed him from the library because the students demanded, there's no students in heaven, man. They were having this campus and we were putting money on this campus and buildings named after racists. Yeah, so they do what they do. Change the building or we will leave. Because the students are money. The plan would give few Louisiana schools failing grades. It's running into opposition. issue. We'll talk about that. Toronto residents pay drainage taxes, but don't get, you hit it off, Q, but don't get ditch work they deserve, Jay says, that's all. And a property tax that funds Baton Rouge, finally, a property tax that funds Baton Rouge bus system is up for renewal. All that and a whole lot more coming up. Eyes Open News Time is 42 minutes past the hour, 42 minutes past the hour, right here in your premium one news magazine. We went to the song, Q? I'm sorry? Oh, okay. Okay, so news is ready, she says. And news right after this. Good morning.
Who's the black private dick that's a sex machine on her cheeks? Damn right. Who is the man that would risk his neck for his brother, man? Can you dig it? Who's the cat that will cop out and that's what you're all about? Right on. You see, this cat chef is a bad mother. What I'm talking about, chef? He's a complicated man, but no one understands him but his woman. Gotcha.
Tony Brown. This is your statewide news you can use on this terrific Tuesday. It's the 15th day of the month of June. News being brought to you by the Alexandria Emergency Room Hospital. The Alexandria Police Department has made an arrest in the homicide cases that occurred back in December the 5th of 2019. They happened in the 5600 block of Eddie Williams Avenue. Alexandria police say 24-year-old Sterling T. Brown of Alexandria has been charged with second-degree murder in the incident. This is an ongoing investigation. They say if anyone has any other information about the incident, please contact the Alexandria Police Department at 318-449-5099. RPSO just released the full list of suspects arrested for the Liberty Arsenal deadly shooting that took place last month on May the 7th. Over a month since the incident took place. 21-year-old Eric Dwayne Dixon Jr. was arrested on May the 8th for first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder, was released on a $50,000 bond after Monday's bond reduction hearing. 20-year-old Clyron Damon Price, arrested on May the 10th for 2 counts of obstruction of justice, accessory after the fact, flight from an officer, careless operation of a vehicle, distribution of CBS 1, illegal carrying of a weapon with drugs, remains in jail on a $25,000 bond. 23-year-old Lamont Lamar Jackson was arrested May the 11th for first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder and remains in jail on a $4 million bond. 23-year-old Laclarius Dion Augustine was arrested also on May the 11th for first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, obstruction of justice, and criminal damage to property. And of course, his bond has been set at $4.2 million. And 23-year-old Dorian Saquon Simmons was arrested on May the 18th for obstruction of justice and accessory after the fact and released on a $20,000 bond. That is the full list of names and the people who have been arrested, all young men, all African American, all from Alexandria in the Liberty Arsenal robbery and shooting. The Rapids Parish Sheriff's Office and Crime Stoppers is asking the public's help to identify a male suspect. According to Crime Stoppers, the male is described as 18 to 25 years old, was seen pouring alcohol down the throat of the victim multiple times. He appears to be 5 feet 8 to 6 inches in height and about 145 to 160 pounds. The suspect is wanted for negligent homicide. Crime Stoppers say the victim passed out from severe intoxication and died at Crystal St. Francis Community Hospital back on May the 31st. At around 7 a.m. A 85-year-old woman died in a three-vehicle crash that involved a Livingston Parish fire truck, officially announced Monday. Gail Whipple of Denham Springs was driving south on Pete's Highway near Bay Street on Sunday morning when a fire truck from Fire Protection District Number 5 in the northbound lane crashed into the rear of a trailer being towed by another northbound vehicle. The two vehicles crossed the center line, colliding with Whipple's car, according to the release issued by the Fire Protection District. Whipple died after being taken to the hospital. Officials said Cody Call, the driver of the fire truck, was also brought to the hospital when he was later released. A third driver, who officials identified as Luis Constanza Jr. of Albany, refused medical attention at the scene. Officials said Call underwent a routine toxicology report at the hospital, although impairment is not suspected as a factor in the crash. Fire Chief Joe Kozlowski said in an interview Monday afternoon that his crew's fire truck was driving at the speed limit in the northbound lane of Pete's Highway when the crash occurred. The driver of the fourth car tried to make a left turn into the northbound lane of the highway in front of the vehicle towing a trailer. The chief said effectively sandwiching the trailer towing vehicle between the fire engine and the turning car. Carl tried to slow the engine to avoid the two vehicles in front of him, but fire trucks can't stop on a dime. The chief said the young firefighter struck the trailer ahead of him as he was trying to quickly slow down. Then the chief said he tried to get off the road into the ditch, but the lady was too close, and he ended up hitting her car as she was trying to get off the road. The car then turned into the road, was not damaged in the crash. Two people died in a fatal crash on Interstate 12 Saturday morning at about 1:55 in the morning, according to Baton Rouge Police. A 2016 Chevrolet Malibu and a Volvo semi-truck with dual trailers slowed to a stop on the 700 block of Interstate 12 westbound between Millville Road and South Sherwood Forest Boulevard for another fatal crash when another semi crashed into the end of the Malibu, which then hit the Volvo semi in front of it. Two people were inside the Malibu stuck between the two trucks, 26-year-old Shordman Williams and 24-year-old Evie Jefferson, and died at the scene. A driver died Sunday night following a crash on Florida Boulevard in Baton Rouge. The police say a Chevrolet Impala was being driven eastbound on Florida Boulevard at about 10:05 p.m. and crashed into the front driver's side of a Honda Accord traveling northbound on North 19th Street. The driver of the Accord, 21-year-old Lexus Felton, died at the scene. A passenger in the car was transported to the hospital with life-threatening injuries, and the driver of the Impala was transported to a local hospital with minor injuries. Baton Rouge police said detectives believe the Accord's driver ran a red light at the intersection. A car caught fire on the Acadian Thruway near Perkins Road on Monday. Smoke was billowing out of the black PT Cruiser sitting in the center lane. Firefighters were on the scene and dousing the flames. The car was sitting at the red light at the intersection of two roads when it began smoking, according to the Baton Rouge Fire Department. The driver told the fire department that the car had been experiencing ongoing mechanical problems which likely caused the fire. The fire department said no injuries were reported. Descendants of the late LSU leader Troy H. Middleton filed a lawsuit Monday seeking the return of his collection, which is being displayed at the LSU Military Museum, but also asked for money for being embarrassed by the university to disavow him as a racist. Though the lawsuit seeks monetary damages for extreme humiliation and embarrassment, the Middleton family attorney Joe Crumbs of Baton Rouge said the real point is to get back Troy Middleton's papers and memorabilia, rather than punish the LSU Board of Supervisors for its June 2020 decision to remove its name from the main library on the Baton Rouge campus because of statements and efforts Middleton made as LSU president from 1951 to 1962. Kraft said Monday, it's not as related to that as it is to the whole notion that LSU took a position to vilify General Middleton, said they wanted no reminders of him on campus, and said, come get your stuff. Cross said Monday, if the family cannot peacefully retrieve their property, then obviously they're entitled to monetary damages. The family arrived at the LSU A&M campus in Baton Rouge several times to collect the Middleton collection, but couldn't. LSU raised several different excuses about why, according to the lawsuit was filed by Bingham Middleton Stewart, Emily Middleton, Serino, both of Baton Rouge, and Troy Houston Middleton III of Mobile. The family made arrangements to transfer the collection to the U.S. Army 45th Infantry Museum in Oklahoma City and formally asked on February 23rd for its return. LSU responded on April 14th, advising that the university would be keeping approximately one half of the collection. State Superintendent of Education Kate Brumman's plan to overhaul how Louisiana rates public schools has sparked such a political uproar that leaders of the state's top school board took the unusual step of delaying debate on the issue that was supposed to begin today. The proposal, which includes changes that will reduce the number of D and F rated schools, triggered pushback from critics. They said the move would water down academic standards in a state that has long been near the bottom of the student achievement list. Leaders of some education advocacy groups said they were caught off guard by Brumman's plan, which earlier appeared headed for final approval on Wednesday. Others complained to the State Board of Elementary and Secondary Education, which then yanked the item from the board's June agenda until a future date. The East Ascension Drainage District has acted in a way that is manifestly arbitrary and unreasonable when it refused for years to maintain roadside ditches in the town of Sorrento. Even though the city's residents paid drainage taxes, the state judge has found. Judge Jason Verdige ruled that the drainage district has a legal duty to perform ditch and culvert maintenance inside the town limits under ballot language voters have approved and renewed since the 1980s. The ruling means the town and its honorable mayor, Mike Lambert, an important legal victory after a multi-year fight to have the parish drainage district acknowledge that it couldn't carve out the town from the roadside ditch maintenance conducted in the incorporated portions of Eastern Ascension Parish. And finally, voters will be asked in October to extend a property tax that generates millions of dollars a year for Baton Rouge's bus system. The Capital Area Transit System unanimously approved maybe two propositions, one for the city of Baton Rouge and one for the city of Baker. If approved, the funds from the tax will be used to increase the availability of the bus system, decrease wait lines, improve bus stops, and fund the operation of the system according to the proposition language. The election will be held on my birthday, October the 9th. I'm Tony Brown. That's your statewide news you can use on this terrific Tuesday. Have a safe and a blessed day.
Rapides Primary Healthcare Center is your federally qualified community health care center and is located at 1217 Willow Glen River Road in Alexandria. They are now accepting new patients. Are you tired of spending long hours in hospital emergency rooms waiting to receive non-critical health care services? Do you need affordable medical, dental, and mental health care? Do you need quality health care for you and your baby for prenatal, during pregnancy, and up until adulthood? Do you need to sign your family up for the Affordable Care Act or Medicaid? Then look no further than Rapides Primary Healthcare Center. It is the affordable, timely answer to all your family's health care needs. All services are available to anyone regardless of their ability to pay. You or your family will never be turned away. Rapides Primary is certified kid med site with a sliding fee scale. Payment is based on income and size of family. Medicaid, Medicare, and most commercial insurance are accepted for medical services. For appointments and information on all medical services, including Obamacare and Medicaid, call 318-487-4400. That's 318-487-4400. Rapides Primary Healthcare Center, a new beginning in quality health care and a proud impact partner of the Eyes Open Radio Network.
Hey y'all, spring is here and you're ready to get out and celebrate. Here's what's happening around the state. June 3rd through 5th, Bugs and Bands in Kickapoo. June 4th through 6th, Vine Knowledge and Games and Sicilian Heritage Festival in Independence. June 5th, the Peach Festival in Weston and Cajun Country Jam in Gonzales. So make your plans to Lazy Le Monterey. This is Lieutenant Governor Bill Lancaster. Plan your road trip at LouisianaIsATrip.com. Hello, Sinlaw. I'm Dr. Kelvin Spears, Chief Medical Officer of Alexandria Emergency Hospital, located at 5900 Coliseum Boulevard, next to Wendy's. Our mission at Alexandria Emergency Hospital is to provide our patients, both adults and children, with the best possible healthcare experience, with short wait times and a relaxing environment. Alexandria Emergency Hospital is open 24/7, 365. We have board-certified doctors available for expert pediatric and adult care for both inpatients and ER services. We can provide outpatient services like MRI, X-ray, ultrasound, and CT scans. We have a clinical lab and on-site pharmacy and can facilitate inpatient stays through our state-of-the-art hospital rooms. For more information about our services, you can give us a call at 318-386-8110. That's 318-386-8110. And visit us online at www.alexandriaer.com. Again, I'm Dr. Kelvin Spears, and remember, for all your emergency needs, come see us at Alexandria Emergency Hospital, your hometown ER and hospital.
I ain't mad at you though. I like the Minions. You know why? Why do I like the Minions, Q? Because they look like Twinkies. If you really look at them, it reminds me of a Twinkie. Back in the day when we used to eat the Twinkie, which, as you know, you could put that in, what do you call those, time capsules, Q? You could put a Twinkie in a time capsule and open it up a century later, and guess what? That Twinkie will still be there. May not be edible, some that is debatable, but anywho, it is hot, it is too hot, and let's go to Alex Donato. He's a meteorologist with the National Weather Service out of Lake Charles. Hey Alex, you like Twinkies? Oh yeah. Yeah, don't those little mini characters, you've seen them, don't they remind you of Twinkies? Yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah, okay, I don't think it was just me. But anywho, how old does a Twinkie have to be for you to consume? What is the actual time limit on holding on to a Twinkie before it's when it's no longer consumable, in your opinion?
Gosh, I guess I would have to ask if it's still in the packaging or not.
Well, you know, you can be in the packaging and let individual wraps.
Well, I've heard stories that they can last for a really long time. So,
so you've heard those rumors too, right? Yeah. Okay. I would say, I've got to go past the date on the box. That's just how I roll. You know, it does, but you know, we say Twinkies, last forever, just let me know. Let's talk about this hot temperature, man. The levels in the 90s up here, did we reach 100? And certainly we have to reach over triple digits in the heat indices in some portions of the state.
Yeah, they were definitely heat indices above 100 yesterday, and we're looking at another really hot day today as well.
Well, speaking of heat, is it creating any major problems here in Louisiana? Because, you know, we tend to get a little bit cooler than most, but, you know, I'm seeing what's going on in the West Coast, in Nevada, as well as Arizona. And you know, we have those potential, those wildfires, because the temperatures are hot, the ground is dry, and the brush is like timber. So to speak. So they have some major problems over there. Is this heat wave we're experiencing, even though the summer has not officially begun, I think that kicks off this weekend, but you know, is this an indication of something worse that is going to come this summer?
Well, you know, we are looking at the hotter temperatures. Thankfully, you know, we have been very wet recently, so we're not expecting, you know, the same issues that are occurring out west with regards to wildfires. You know, as we are heading more and more into that summer pattern, we're going to be expecting, you know, these daytime thunderstorms to occur. You know, we often are very humid as we head into the summer, so we don't necessarily expect temperatures to be this high very often, but sometimes when we have high pressure building in and northerly flow, you know, it can be conducive for these higher temperatures on occasion.
Well, and not only that, we have to be mindful mindful that when people go outdoors, that they try to refrain from going outdoors and doing any sort of outdoor activity during the hottest portion of the day, particularly the elderly, and of course it's something parents be known for your small children over exhausting themselves because, they may not know the symptoms of heat stroke, and kids are enthusiastic about it, they just, are hot and they thought to drink some water, but it's a lot more serious than that. So, how long will we continue this, and will we get some respite with some, maybe rain coming up in the next several days?
Yeah. So we are going to be expecting these high temperatures through the next few days, although we are going to be gradually cooling down as we head toward the end of the week into the weekend, where rain chances are going to start increasing again.
Okay, that's good news. Hey, thanks a lot, Alex. You have a great day, okay?
All right, you too.
That's Alex Donato, meteorologist with the National Weather Service out of Lake Charles, with, of course, your state wireless forecast. We're back right here in the Premium Morning News Magazine. We got to go to the top of the hour in D. We're going to come back with more eyes open. When we come back, don't go away.
With Tony Brown on FM 107.5, The Vibe, and 1110 AM, KGTP, Alexandria Pineville.
Rapides Primary Healthcare Center is your federally qualified community healthcare center and is located at 1217 Willow Glen River Road in Alexandria. They are now accepting new patients. Are you tired of spending long hours in hospital emergency rooms waiting to receive non-critical healthcare services? Do you need affordable medical, dental, and mental health care? Do you need quality health care for you and your baby for prenatal, during pregnancy, and up until adulthood? Do you need to sign your family up for the Affordable Care Act or Medicaid? Then look no further than Rapides Primary Healthcare Center. It is the affordable, timely answer to all your family's health care needs. All services are available to anyone regardless of their ability to pay. You or your family will never be turned away. Rapides Primary is certified kid med site with a sliding fee scale. Payment is based on income and size of family. Medicaid, Medicare, and most commercial insurance are accepted for medical services. For appointments and information on all medical services, including Obamacare and Medicaid, call 318-487-4400. That's 318-487-4400. Rapides Primary Healthcare Center, a new beginning in quality health care and a proud impact partner of the Eyes Open Radio Network.
Hello, Sinlaw. I'm Dr. Kelvin Spears, Chief Medical Officer of Alexandria Emergency Hospital, located at 5900 Coliseum Boulevard, next to Wendy's. Our mission at Alexandria Emergency Hospital is to provide our patients, both adults and children, with the best possible healthcare experience, with short wait times and a relaxing environment. Alexandria Emergency Hospital is open 24/7, 365. We have board-certified doctors available for expert pediatric and adult care for both inpatients and ER services. We can provide outpatient services like MRI, X-ray, ultrasound, and CT scans. We have a clinical lab and on-site pharmacy and can facilitate inpatient stays through our state-of-the-art hospital rooms. For more information about our services, you can give us a call at 318-386-8110. That's 318-386-8110. Or visit us online at www.alexandriaer.com. Again, I'm Dr. Kelvin Spears, and remember, for all your emergency needs, come see us at Alexandria Emergency Hospital, your hometown ER and hospital.
Hi, I'm Anisha Edwards, City News Manager for the Drum newspaper in Ponchatoula and Baton Rouge. My job is to make sure your stories get told. I make sure you know what's happening in your community. Whether that's exciting, informative, or just entertainment, your news matters at the Drum. But we can't do it all alone, and no one knows the community better than you. That's why I'm asking you to share your stories with me. At the Drum, we believe a community that is informed is a strong one. So if you've got important news, witty insight, upcoming events, or even a voting announcement, call me at 225-927-3717 or email me news to news@thedrumnewspaper.info. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter today as we report your news.
Hi, this is Dolores with Robinson Family Mortuary. The COVID-19 pandemic has been devastating to our community, and we have served numerous families affected by it. Planning a funeral is difficult, but a sudden loss during this pandemic can be even more stressful. Robinson Family Mortuary can help ease your stress and serves all of Central Louisiana, including Natchitoches, Oakdale, Marksville, Leesville, Fort Polk, and most every parish in the entire state. The newly renovated Robinson Family Mortuary is located at 1815 Military Highway in Pineville, and we can be reached anytime by calling 318-442-7300. That's 318-442-7300, or visit us online at robinsonfm.com. Robinson Family Mortuary, without delay, can arrange for a traditional funeral service, cremation, ship in or ship out, including military. We accept all assignable and verifiable life insurance policies. With just one call to 318-442-7300, all of your homegoing needs can be taken care of at our newly remodeled Robinson Family Mortuary. Robinson Family Mortuary, a family serving families.
Saturday, June 26th at 8 p.m. Paragon Casino Resort. Tickets on sale now and start at $29 and can be purchased at Ticketmaster.com. Keith Sweat. Saturday, June 26th at 8 p.m. Paragon Casino Resort.
Alright, we're back right here. I do want to share an important story to you that actually ran just a couple of days ago in the Washington Post. Probably didn't get much notice here, but it is very significant because it tends to reverse the whitewashing of the quote sign that a young baffled reporter, 26 years old, working for KOB, and covers something some crime issue at the courthouse. When I first ran into the statue in Colfax, Louisiana, that said, and called it the Colfax Riot. After reading it, I was baffled. One, and what I thought even back then, when you tell me that, it certainly didn't make mention that very many people died in it, with the exception of maybe one or two or three white people who they paraded as heroes of carpet-bag rules, something to that effect, like the Yankees were doing in real stuff after Reconstruction. That certainly wasn't the case. So I went then to the library, right there in Colfax, to see if I could find anything. The only thing I was able to find, believe it or not, was a small paper. I couldn't call it a thesis. I would call it more of an essay. A white girl who wrote something, maybe 3 to 4 pages, maybe 5 of the most. I don't know if she was an NSU student or a Colfax High School student. I think maybe NSU. Because she was from Colfax, obviously took an interest in it, and she wrote something. That was the only information about it. And what she wrote contradicted what the statute said. I mean, they wrote about indiscriminate shootings of white people coming from everywhere, including Alexandria, to go down there, and killed a bunch of, Negroes, as we were referred to back then. And some of the stories I've read in the historical record, Rita Taylor did a book called Red River, King River. There's some mention about the Colfax River, at least one of those books. She's been on my show maybe 8 or 9 years ago. I haven't even had a chance to read the books, although we've had them in Orlando, when she was coming from the hurricane. But make a long story short, there was a lot of contradiction as to what the plaque read versus what witnesses of the time said. We talked about the indiscriminate shooting. The African Americans had taken mostly control of the local, I would say, political structure after Reconstruction because they outvoted white people. and we went to take those officers over. Just pretty much like the same year that PBS Pinchbank, the first bank union, was governor for just a few minutes before they were able to remove him democratically, so to speak, through the legislature. So make a long story short, these folk went to do their jobs and occupy the place of work, which was the Colfax, what do you call that? Grand Parish. This is Grand Parish, right, King? They get that right, Colfax? The Grand Parish Courthouse, which is right next to the jail. And in doing so, after the election, within a matter of weeks, they still white people, oh my God, we lost control, we lost power. So what they did was, they actually boarded up this is me talking to you, they boarded up the courthouse, the windows and basically, the black people, were inside there, most of elected officials, quite a few of them, men mostly. Then after they heard about, white people rioting and taking to the streets, they went to a place where they thought they would be safe, which was the courthouse. The white people outside even had a cannon that they actually boasted about, that they actually had an armed insurrection against the political structure. It's like the war was not over again, but on a smaller scale. After boarding up the doors and then through Molotov cocktails, and just indiscriminately shooting thousands of bullets into the courthouse as black men, women, and even heard some children were trying to get out of the building. They were shooting them dead like dogs when they were coming in the window. So it was an all-out massacre at the hands of white racists because they lost control of the courthouse. We've heard upwards of 200 people or more. Mass graves next to the river, people fleeing, and just residents in general fleeing to the Red River, hopping on tugboats of the day, and actually people on tugboats helping fleeing African Americans from the white mob, which had burned that courthouse and was shooting every black person within miles of the city. So that baffled me that there was two different accounts. What white people had said back then, and what even some white people were saying, really was a massacre at the hands of white people against black people. And there may be hundreds. Kind of similar to what we hear about the Lee Street riot, but no one has broke through the gap of that cover-up. But believe me, many people are working on it. So to make a long story short, the Washington Post has a piece called, it's an opinion piece, not far from Tulsa or Quieter, but consequential correction of the historical record. What has happened is that historical marker has been removed. That historical marker has been removed pretty much by an African-American person who appealed to the state's historical marker people and told them that it's inaccurate. I mean, it's part of the traditional whitewashing of American history, certainly as it pertains to the Confederacy, the war, and all the heritage and our honor and all that crap. Worrying about really, it wasn't about slavery. It was about white people getting too much money in these cotton beans down here on the backs of free slave labor. It was about money. They became too powerful, too rich. While those states that had most of the people on the East Coast, the original colonies and all that too, didn't have very much money, had more people, but did not have the money and the resources that were millions of dollars on the backs of black slaves, period. So slavery was a byproduct, but the real problem was money and all the money that they were securing and making and made them too powerful. So with that said, check out this article titled Not Far from Tulsa, Quieter, Consequential Correction of Historical Record. I'd like to share it with you real quickly. It states that in recent years the country has been focused upon appropriately on the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa Race Massacre, less than a day's drive to Southeast. Meanwhile, long overdue reckoning with historical racial violence was occurring quietly in rural Colfax, population 1,569. Truth prevailed thanks to an individual of conscience, a committed public official, and a pragmatic local politician or two. It talks about, in April 13, 1873, about 165 only white men living in the courthouse in Colfax, then as now, the seat of their parish. They were bent on routing roughly 150 black men also armed, but more likely, who had occupied the side of the fence of local officials whom their votes had helped elect in 1872. In the ensuing day of slaughter, the mob killed somewhere between 62 and 81 black men. Most after they had surrendered. 3 white men lost their lives, 2 of whom were probably shot by their own comrades in the chaos. The bloodiest incident of Reconstruction, the Colfax Massacre, shook the nation. The Brown administration tried to prosecute, but the Supreme Court overturned what few convictions the bill would obtain. That precedent weakened civil rights enforcement for decades, during which Louisiana disenfranchised black people and falsified the Colfax events known as a Negro riot. It wasn't the Negroes, it was the white people that rioted. Growing up in Shreveport, Dean Woods heard little of this atrocity, and he did know the facts in recent years. The 69-year-old business executive, now retired and living in Houston, was appalled. And then genealogical research revealed that his own great-grandfather, Bedford E. Woods, had been one of the Colfax Massacre perpetrators and had even boasted of his role. It hurt my heart, he said, that I was descended from someone like that, Woods told me recently. It also dismayed Woods that the only public memorial was saying he was racist and factually inaccurate, a historical marker the state of Louisiana elected back in 1951. Quote, on this side occurred the Colfax riot. Didn't even call it a massacre. And it gives the indication that black people were the ones that rioted. The good old white folks came in to the rescue, the Ku Klux Klan, and saved the day. Saved all these rioting Negroes from killing white people. That's what, when you read the plaque, that's what it implies. But it says in which 3 white men and 150 Negroes were slain. So by account, they actually admit 150 Negroes. That's what threw me off. 150 Negroes slain and 3 white people, and it was the Negroes that rioted? This don't sound right. The numbers don't add up. It's not even fuzzy math. It is just an outright unexplainable lie, unless we went to the truth. Continuing whitewashing of American history, I would say within the next 1,500 years is going to be rectified through social media, the young people that are tolerating it, and young people just finding out the truth of what happened. Even to this day in Lee Street, and like I said, no problem with Lee Street marker, but it will be a problem, I would say, in 15 years, or even less when the true story comes out that possibly hundreds of black soldiers from Philadelphia, Chicago, and New York were slaughtered in Alexandria at the hands of white police officers, 90 of them, about 100 of them, mostly state police, military police, Alexandria police, and sheriff's deputies. Yeah, it really took place. But the fuzzy math of how many people died certainly not in the time talk back then, on January 10th of 1941, was it? What did you 41? But it truly was the Lee Street riot, but also a Lee Street massacre. And one day that marker will be removed, and a more accurate marker will depict that upwards of 100 black soldiers died at the hands of local police to this day. That needs to be corrected. So nothing against the marker, but one day it's going to be taken down, and a new marker will be put up in this place that's actually going to tell a more detailed, factual account of what really happened. So basically, let's see here, if I get to the last part, the article goes on to say that, okay, a black Louisiana, Mitchell name, Randy Mitchell. Yeah, the difference this time, Pierre reached Randy Mitchell, the Assistant Secretary of Economic Development, who immediately recognized its importance and got approval from the Governor John Bell Edwards to act on it. A black Louisiana, 44-year Mitchell, determined that LED was the sole legal owner of the marker. Therefore, LED could uproot it without prior approval from Bay Parish authorities, even though the parish owns a small patch of ground which is still there. Oh, there it goes. It goes to the owner of the marker, okay? Invited by Cephas Bill June 67 by one of the parish's 8-member local council, Mitchell went to Colfax on March 11th to lay out LED's plans to remove the sign, calling it a blot on the state's image, and we could not have our conscience. Mitchell provided the audio at the meeting. Mitchell struck a cooperative tone, but 2 white members of the council objected, insisting the sign was not necessarily offensive or inaccurate. One threatened to take LED to court. So the situation could have turned contentious, but the council's president, Dan Arnold, a conservative 65-year-old white man, grasped that Mitchell held the high ground and opted for conciliation. He persuaded the council to agree on a statement accepting the signs removal and ensuring a welcome to all citizens in the parish. Opponents of the removal got a concession, and official parish requested that he not put a new marker on parish-owned land. On May 15th, workers from a local black-owned construction company dug up the sign and deposited it in a pickup truck for eventual placement in the museum. Dean Weeks himself paid the $600 for the operation queue. Just like that, the marker was gone, a month shy of what would have been the 7th anniversary of its dedication ceremony on June 14, 1951. The removal by contractors was kept deliberately okay, with just a small group of witnesses, including Woods Mitchell. Nevertheless, in the context of Grant Parish and its history, it was a breathtaking moment. Woods is working with the Grant Parish Bank community on the next piece of unfinished business, creating a new monument to those who fell in 1863. His son's 5-year-old daughter is black. He told me he wants her to be proud of me when she is old enough to understand what happened. So it was black people and it was white people that actually got the correction made. Unbeknownst to the local media, but the Washington Post got it, and for that we're truly thankful. You can go and check out the entire T of that story on my Facebook page, right, Kim? Go to Tony Brown Facebook, Tony Brown #2, Roman retweets on that page. I realize that when we come back, we'll go away.
Rapides Primary Healthcare Center is your federally qualified community healthcare center and is located at 1217 Willow Glen River Road in Alexandria. They are now accepting new patients. Are you tired of spending long hours in hospital emergency rooms waiting to receive non-critical healthcare services? Do you need affordable medical, dental, and mental health care? Do you need quality health care for you and your baby for prenatal, during pregnancy, and up until adulthood? Do you need to sign your family up for the Affordable Care Act or Medicaid? Then look no further than Rapides Primary Healthcare Center. It is the affordable, timely answer to all your family's health care needs. All services are available to anyone regardless of their ability to pay. You or your family will never be turned away. Rapides Primary is certified kid med site with a sliding fee scale. Payment is based on income and size of family. Medicaid, Medicare, and most commercial insurance are accepted for medical services. For appointments and information on all medical services, including Obamacare and Medicaid, call 318-487-4400. That's 318-487-4400. Rapides Primary Healthcare Center, a new beginning in quality health care and a proud impact partner of the Eyes Open Radio Network.
Is power. I'm Ed Gray.
You may not call it this, but I'm going to call it this. I'm going to call it, we have an STD pandemic in central Louisiana that is disproportionately affecting poor people, disproportionately affecting women. And it's also affecting pregnant women, which is affecting their babies inside of them. And as a result, because the symptoms are not as, I would say, as noticeable in women as it is in men. Men syphilis, is obvious. With women, maybe not so much. But let's go back to David Holcomb, with the Office of Public Health for our medical director for Region 6. Doc, I'm calling it a pandemic. I know it probably doesn't qualify in the medical term of that, but, whenever you have, upwards of, what did y'all say, 44% increase syphilis, and particularly syphilis in Central Louisiana in this region, by comparison to other parishes or even other portions of the country. How significant is this? We talked about it briefly on last week.
Well, it's really, STDs actually were improving in the state generally, and then the syphilis deal came, and it's a 4 times increase. So there were 4 times as many cases in 2020 as there was in 2017, so it crept up, kind of plateaued, and then gone way up. And as you mentioned, it often was associated with men having sex with men, and so there was a disproportionate male number. And now it's 54% of women. And those are all childbearing age, and so we've had a doubling of our cases of congenital syphilis, which is a baby born with syphilis. They're not high numbers, but they're noticeable. And that's the problem.
Well, and not only noticeable to Baton Rouge, but noticeable in the country.
Absolutely. Central Louisiana does not have a very large population. It's 300,000 people. And so our absolute numbers and our rates are extraordinarily high. And that certainly comes to the attention of a lot of people. And the state has called and said, what is going on up there? They are aware of it.
Yeah, so what is going on is there has to be a connection to socioeconomic issues, or lack of education. You told me it was young people, childbearing age, a higher percentage of women, disproportionately poor, and other common denominators in that equation would have to be promiscuity, drug use, high crime rate, all of the above.
Well, the most noticeable is, when we track down the cases, that most of the time, 54% of the time it's associated with some kind of drug use, most often methamphetamines.
Okay.
And so then there was, a 30-40% that were internet sexual encounter arrangements and so forth. And so this is a real problem because the social media has been a vehicle for people getting sick and getting together and getting sick. And you're right, you don't necessarily notice it, and women especially not, because it has a painless ulcer in the sexual area, genitals, and they simply don't notice. And so people will transmit it, and we've had cases of up to 14 encounters for a single individual.
So when you talk about hooking up online, people, for lack of a better word, marketing themselves on social media to have hookups or have sex with people they're not familiar with, often, drugs is involved, and that goes to say that to me, whether it's drugs being traded for sex or whether it's money being traded for sex, it's a form of prostitution. That has to be part of the equation as well, because no one does something like that for free. They're going to get something out of it. No pun intended there. So what you're telling me, based upon the meth use, because traditionally that is not a drug that the African American community may sell it. White people may go to the black community and buy it, but it's not something that black people have gravitated towards. Snorting or shooting up meth and being up for weeks at a time, and burning their physical light, snuffing it out, so to speak. So it's not just black women that are contracting this. It has to be real white women as well.
It's about 50-50. The racial distribution is about 50-50.
Okay.
And that's still disproportionate for blacks because they're only 30% of the population. So there's a higher percentage in that group that are black. But it's just it just needs to stop. And I don't think people understand the immediate consequences or long-term consequences. We are 6% of the state population in central Louisiana. We have 15% of the state's syphilis cases.
Gee whiz. Now let's talk about syphilis. For people who don't know, what is it? We know how you get it. It's transmitted sexually. And what are the symptoms of this?
Well, syphilis is a treponema. It's not a bacteria. It's not a virus. It's a little organism under high power microscopes. It looks like a little eel almost, or
a snake.
Flagellate, and it's a funny deal. It's a special organism. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that when you get infected, there's a lag time of about 2 or 3 weeks, and then you will develop a painless ulcer. Men will generally get this on the penis, women will get it in the vaginal area, or any place they've actually had sexual contact, which can also be the mouth. But it's painless, and so people will put things on it and ignore it or do whatever, and it goes away. But then that's the primary syphilis, and then in a matter of months, it will manifest through some kind of rash that can look like anything. Mm-hmm. And so it's often misdiagnosed or incorrectly diagnosed, and so the person is infectious during this entire period. And then if it's really not treated, it goes on to tertiary syphilis, which affects the nerves, and that was the part of the subject of the infamous Tuskegee experiments, where they had people that were infected with syphilis and they did not treat them to see what would happen.
And it's a simple fix. Well, I remember watching Tuskegee, one fix, penicillin. Was it a shot back then or a pill, right?
It's a shot. It's always been a shot. And it's easy to treat, but you have to diagnose it. And the health unit here says that the majority of the women they're picking up are coming in not because they are symptomatic from syphilis, but they have trichomonas. So they have a discharge from another sexually transmitted disease, and then we test them for everything, and they're coming back positive for syphilis.
Oh my goodness, trichomonas, is there a common word for that?
No, that's it.
Is that like chlamydia? I heard of that. Chlamydia, something that is silent,
Yeah, well, your big ones are, of course, syphilis, chlamydia,
gonorrhea,
and gonorrhea. And then trichomonas is not a reportable disease, but it's really very common. And men can get it too, but they usually don't have symptoms. So men may come in more often because they have this sore on their penis and this, but if they don't do anything with it, it goes away. And so they will not treat it.
Gotcha. So we have a huge problem in Central Louisiana. We now know what it is. We know what the symptoms are. We know how to treat it. What we don't know is how to get people to be honest with themselves and start coming in to get the test and get the treatment and stop having sex with people they don't know after getting high, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, unsafe sex is just simply not a good idea. And we've had several cases of women in their 40s that come in and have been in monogamous relationships, and somebody wasn't monogamous.
You're telling the tale, my God. You're telling the truth now. Yeah, they're monogamous, married, and their husbands are getting it and passing it on to their wives. And baby, there's probably a higher percentage than we care to admit of husbands and boyfriends passing it on to their boyfriends. So the truth is out in the wash, Doc. I appreciate you coming clean and literally staying away nasty. We appreciate that. Anything you want to answer on this? Can people go to the health unit?
Yes, we are open, we're doing business, and if you have symptoms, or even if you don't, but you suspect that you may have been with partners or multiple partners or whatever, it's a blood test for syphilis, but, it's easy and very accurate, and if you get treated, it's an easy treatment. In the beginning, it's a couple of shots in your rear end. They're kind of big shots, but it secures it and stops it in its tracks, and that's what we need to do.
And what's also problematic about it is that women who not knowingly have it may be pregnant and they are passing it on to their unborn children who are coming out with obvious birth defects.
Yes. Now, there is mandatory testing during pregnancy in the first, second, and third trimesters, but people may miss their prenatal care.
Yeah.
And so they're getting infected during pregnancy, and then they'll show up and they're tested at birth, and we're picking up on kids that are infected.
Oh my goodness.
It's very sad.
Yeah, it's very bad. It's just like a fire that is now spreading, and we need to extinguish it. And the only way to extinguish it is to go in and get checked. If you think that you have multiple partners or your man is messing around with you, go get checked. It's that simple. Then after you get checked, you can file for the divorce or whatever you need to do. Doc, always a pleasure, my friend.
We're not responsible for that.
No, that ain't on us. No, look, I mean, you can stick your head in the sand like an ostrich, but, don't kill the messengers, okay? We don't have nothing to do with it. Thanks, Doc. Always a pleasure. All right, my friend.
Hello to the governor for you.
Absolutely. Say hello to him. He's coming down today, right?
No, I'm going down there for a luncheon. They're having a awards luncheon for his loyal civil servants who have worked tirelessly for the COVID pandemic, and it's a very nice thing to do. It includes the regional medical directors and other people that have been very instrumental in treating COVID.
Well, fantastic. Y'all deserve, much more than a luncheon, but, giving that recognition and patting the back from the boss is always a good thing. Y'all really deserve it, especially you, Doc. I tell you to give you 2 lunches. Okay.
It's been a while. You've been there the whole time.
Yeah, I have, but that's okay. We're the unsung heroes, but that's okay. Maybe one day he'll call on us and give us some lunch too, okay? You take care, my friend. God bless. All right, Dr. David Holcomb. Talking about a serious problem, though, seriously, folks. We've got a sexually transmitted disease, wildfire, going on in Central Louisiana. Talk to your daughters. Talk to them. Talk to them, y'all, because it's a problem. And it's creating birth defects in these babies. Lines open when we come back. Don't go away.
Eyes Open with Tony Brown on FM 107.5 The Vibe and 1110 AM KGTP Alexandria Pineville.
Hello everyone, I'm Tony Brown. This is your statewide news you can use on this terrific Tuesday. It's the 15th day of the month of June. News being brought to you by the Alexandria Emergency Room Hospital. The Alexandria Police Department has made an arrest in the homicide cases that occurred back in December the 5th of 2019. They happened in the 5600 block of Eddie Williams Avenue. Alexandria Police say 24-year-old Sterling T. Brown of Alexandria has been charged with second-degree murder in the incident. This is an ongoing investigation. They say if anyone has any other information about the incident, please contact the Alexandria Police Department at 318-449-5099. RPSO just released the full list of suspects arrested for the Liberty Arsenal deadly shooting that took place last month on May the 7th. Over a month since the incident took place. 21-year-old Eric Dwayne Dixon Jr. was arrested on May the 8th for first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder, was released on a $50,000 bond after Monday's bond reduction hearing. 20-year-old Clyron Demon Price, arrested on May the 10th for 2 counts of obstruction of justice, accessory after the fact, flight from an officer, careless operation of a vehicle, distribution of CBS money, illegal carrying of a weapon with drugs, remains in jail on a $25,000 bond. 23-year-old Lamont Lamar Jackson was arrested May the 11th for first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder and remains in jail on a $4 million bond. 23-year-old Lacarius Dion Augustine was arrested also on May the 11th for first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, obstruction of justice, and criminal damage to property. Of course, his bond has been set at $4.2
million. And 23-year-old Doreen Saquon Simmons was arrested on May the 18th for obstruction of justice and accessory after the fact and released on a $20,000 bond. That is the full list of names and the people who have been arrested, all young men, all African American, all from Alexandria in the Liberty Arsenal robbery and shooting. The Rapids Parish Sheriff's Office and Crime Stoppers is asking the public's help to identify a male suspect. According to Crime Stoppers, the male is described as 18 to 25 years old, was seen pouring alcohol down the throat of the victim multiple times. He appears to be 5 feet 8 to 6 inches in height and about 145 to 160 pounds. The suspect is wanted for negligent homicide. Crime Stoppers say the victim passed out from severe intoxication and died at Crystal St. Francis Community Hospital back on May the 31st. At around 7 a.m. A 85-year-old woman died in a 3-vehicle crash that involved a Livingston Parish fire truck, officially announced Monday. Gail Whipple of Denham Springs was driving south on Pete's Highway near Bay Street on Sunday morning when a fire truck from Fire Protection District Number 5 in the northbound lane crashed into the rear of a trailer being towed by another northbound vehicle. The two vehicles crossed the center line, colliding with Whipple's car, according to the release issued by the Fire Protection District. Whipple died after being taken to the hospital. Officials said Cody Carr, the driver of the fire truck, was also brought to the hospital and was later released. A third driver, who officials identified as Luis Constanza Jr. of Albany, refused medical attention at the scene. Officials said Carl underwent a routine toxicology report at the hospital, although impairment is not suspected as a factor in the crash. Fire Chief Joe Kozrowski said in an interview Monday afternoon that his crew's fire truck was driving at the speed limit in the northbound lane of Pete's Highway when the crash occurred. The driver of the fourth car tried to make a left turn into the northbound lane of the highway in front of the vehicle towing a trailer. The chief said effectively sandwiching the trailer towing vehicle between the fire engine and the turning car. Carl tried to slow the engine to avoid the two vehicles in front of him, but fire trucks can't stop on a dime. The chief said the young firefighter struck the trailer ahead of him as he was trying to quickly slow down. Then the chief said he tried to get off the road into the ditch, but the lady was too close, and he ended up hitting her car as she was trying to get off the road. The car then turned into the road, was not damaged in the crash. 2 people died in a fatal crash on Interstate 12 Saturday morning at about 1:55 in the morning, according to Baton Rouge Police. A 2016 Chevrolet Malibu and a Volvo semi-truck with dual trailers slowed to a stop on the 700 block of Interstate 12 westbound between Millerville Road and South Sherwood Forest Boulevard for another fatal crash, when another semi crashed into the end of the Malibu, which then hit the Volvo semi in front of it. 2 people inside the Malibu stuck between the two trucks, 26-year-old Sherdman Williams and 24-year-old Evie Jefferson, and died at the scene. A driver died Sunday night following a crash on Florida Boulevard in Baton Rouge. The police say a Chevrolet Impala was being driven eastbound on Florida Boulevard at about 10:05 p.m. and crashed into the front driver's side of a Honda Accord traveling northbound on North 19th Street. The driver of the Accord, 21-year-old Lexus Felton, died at the scene. A passenger in the car was transported to the hospital with life-threatening injuries, and the driver of the Impala was transported to a local hospital with minor injuries. Baton Rouge police said detectives believe the Accord's driver ran a red light at the intersection. A car caught fire on Acadian Thruway near Perkins Road on Monday. Smoke was billowing out of the black PT Cruiser sitting in the center lane. Firefighters were on the scene and dousing the flames. The car was sitting at the red light at the intersection of 2 roads when it began smoking, according to the Baton Rouge Fire Department. The driver told the fire department that the car had been experiencing ongoing mechanical problems which likely caused the fire. The fire department said no injuries were reported. Descendants of the late LSU leader Troy H. Middleton filed a lawsuit Monday seeking the return of his collection, which is being displayed at the LSU Military Museum, but also asked for money for being embarrassed by the university disavowed him as a racist. Though the lawsuit seeks monetary damages for extreme humiliation and embarrassment, the Middleton family attorney Joe Crump of Baton Rouge said the real point is to get back Troy Middleton's papers and memorabilia, rather than punish the LSU Board of Supervisors for its June 2020 decision to remove its name from the main library on the Baton Rouge campus because of statements and efforts Middleton made as LSU president from 1951 to 1962. Kraft said Monday, it's not as related to that as it is to the whole notion that LSU took a position to vilify Junior Middleton, said they wanted no reminders of him on campus and said, come get your stuff. Kraft said Monday, if the family cannot peacefully retrieve their property, then obviously they're entitled to monetary damages. The family arrived at the LSU A&M campus in Baton Rouge several times to collect the Middleton collection, but couldn't. LSU raised several different excuses about why, according to the lawsuit was filed by Bingham Middleton Stewart, Emily Middleton, Serena, both of Baton Rouge, and Troy Houston Middleton III of Mobile. The family made arrangements to transfer the collection to the U.S. Army 45th Infantry Museum in Oklahoma City and formally asked on February 23rd for its return. LSU responded on April 14th, advising that the university would be keeping approximately one-half of the collection. State Superintendent of Education Kate Bumley's plan to overhaul how Louisiana rates public schools has sparked such a political uproar that leaders of the state's top school board took the unusual step of delaying debate on the issue that was supposed to begin today. The proposal, which includes changes that will reduce the number of D and F rated schools, triggered pushback from critics. They said the move would water down academic standards in a state that has long been near the bottom of the student achievement list. Leaders of some education advocacy groups said they were caught off guard by Bumley's plan, which earlier appeared headed for final approval on Wednesday. Others complained to the State Board of Elementary and Secondary Education, which then yanked the item from the board's June agenda until a future date. The East Ascension Drainage District has acted in a way that is manifestly arbitrary and unreasonable when it refused for years to maintain roadside ditches in the town of Sorrento. Even though the city's residents paid drainage taxes, the state judge has found. Judge Jason Verdige ruled that the drainage district has a legal duty to perform ditch and culvert maintenance inside the town limits under ballot language voters have approved and renewed since the 1980s. The ruling means the town and its ongoing mayor, Mike Lambert, an important legal victory after a multi-year fight to have the parish drainage district acknowledge that it couldn't carve out the town from the roadside ditch maintenance conducted in the incorporated portions of Eastern Ascension Parish. And finally, voters will be asked in October to extend a property tax that generates millions of dollars a year for Baton Rouge's bus system. The capital area transit system unanimously approved maybe two propositions, one for the city of Baton Rouge and one for the city of Baker. If approved, the funds from the tax will be used to increase the availability of the bus system, decrease wait lines, improve bus stops, and fund the operation of the system according to the proposition language. The election will be held on my birthday, October the 9th. I'm Tony Brown. That's your statewide news you can use on this terrific Tuesday. Have a safe and a blessed day. Right here in your premier morning news magazine, perusing the paper as I always do. Let me put plural on the papers because I read them online every morning. How do you think we get the news and that we stay informative, thus informing you? But when I saw the headline and I saw my good friend, who was then the president of the Baton Rouge branch of the NAACP, and he did his time there on the local level, he is now, and has been for many years now, our state president of the Louisiana NAACP. And for almost the past year a national board member. He's now on the national board. When I saw his picture in the paper, and I saw, who was he, Edmund Jordan, who's a state representative, who I've had on my show, who was one of my attorneys that helped me during the initial phase of the complaint of the movie scene of Me Disturbing the Peace. He didn't do so well in that one. And I also saw in that picture, if I'm not mistaken, I can't think of the third person, but I don't know if it was Eugene Collins. I don't know who it was, but Mike can tell me. Doc, who was the other person in that picture that I saw you on the front page there in the Advocate? Go bring him up, Q. Hold on one second, big boy. Who was that? The former who?
State Senator Elder Gillard from opposition.
Elder Gillard, that's who it was. And all three of them who I knew and had relationships with. So when I saw that this spiral path continues on the Baton Rouge Narcotics Division corruption cases, because basically the entire department got wiped out. Several of the higher upper echelons are now back on the streets and on street patrol, and many of them lost their jobs. But it says here, to quote the paper, you can bring me down just a little bit of knowledge of hearing something echoing here. Among many allegations, he dropped just before resigning from the Baton Rouge Police Department, Jeremiah Alderman, who's a black man, former black New Orleans narcotics detective, accused some longtime narcotics detectives of joking about the 2013 death of an unarmed black man after a violent struggle with officers. He said the incident, which the detectives dubbed the Flag Street Massacre, became an inside joke, according to Alderman, an ex-cop with no first-hand knowledge of what happened that evening on Flag Street. His claims about widespread misconduct with the narcotics unit, however, prompted a corruption probe that remains ongoing to this day. So I didn't know about this case, but they called it a massacre in a joking way. So basically, they admitted in a joking way, and I guess in the locker room of the police department, when they're getting dressed, looking at the white officer in the narcotics division, that they actually killed this man in 2013. They beat him to death. When you saw this piece and this revelation by this former cop, Mike, it probably did surprise you, because y'all read this in 2013, 7 or 8 years ago. But the question is, were you guys able to prove it? So tell us a little bit about that case and the victim, Dr. Ronald Robinson.
Good morning, Bishop. I want to appreciate you and thank you for always bringing people information and knowledge where they can make intelligent decisions about issues that affect their daily lives, keeping people's lives knowledgeable. But you're totally right, man. You're totally right. This issue came before us, man. Came before me as the Baton Rouge president in 2014, 2015, so 2014, I imagine. And, I looked into it, man, but, had it not been for Jeremiah Alderman spilling the beans, we would have not known that there was a task force that operated, that went around terrorizing our community, and in some cases, killed and murdered our citizens of our community. And so this particular incident, they used a no-knock warrant to go into this young man's house, and once they got inside, there's about 7 of these team members, the team members. And they went inside and basically got a death under the auspices of rooting out drugs. Went in there, 7 people, this guy might have weighed 150 pounds of what? Went in and murdered him, killed him, choked him out. You look at the photos, what recently, those photos just recently came to be, because at the time that lawsuit was filed, and you see me standing with former state senator Elder Gillard and state representative who's also attorney Edmund Jordan, there was no pictures, there was nothing, because everything was tightened up. That was an investigation done by a former low-down police chief and unit of the Baton Rouge Police Department. Also, that was done by low-down persons that sleep and eat together at the sheriff's office that found no wrongdoing on these low-down police officers we had. Found exonerated and cleared them of any wrongdoing. But clearly,
there was a relationship amongst those that committed the crime, those that investigated those that committed the crime, those that cleared those that investigated those that committed the crime. There was a relationship, I almost thought of fraternity, that relationship, but all of them had. There was no independent review of what happened that particular day that caused this young man to lose his life. What do you want?
How frightening is that in the African-American community, knowing that those people that we as taxpayers pay to protect and serve our community not only have what amounts to killer death squads going with impunity into black neighborhoods and killing anybody that they choose to. And then the fact that the people that we look at them to investigate are their good friends, but they go drinking with on Friday nights, sleep together, eat together like they say. That's problematic. And like you have to know, being our state president, these type of relationships are taking place all over the state.
We are finding that go out, especially with the state police. They'll leave one jurisdiction, like they'll leave Vietnamese police department and start working for the state police, or vice versa. They run a pack like dogs. If you want to find, if you know one, you look at who his friends are. They're all in the different forces. They run a pack, and they all teach and they all share experiences that keep us down and kill us, murder us, traumatize us, that keep us against us, that separate families. But keeps us from being out where we can be in a society, in a country that we're forced to be in under these circumstances. That's what it is.
Yeah, so when you go back to the Devlin and Robinson case, probably I'm saying without knowing, but I know nothing happened with that civil lawsuit because y'all didn't have enough evidence. They had a task force, they investigated, they keep all the evidence, they didn't give full disclosure of what the legal team needed to do. Even if it would have gotten to court, it would have probably been dismissed because, when you're going up against the institution, the machine, as, just some two civil rights attorneys, at the time, even if you got the juice or state representative, you still don't have enough power to pry into the white privilege, Blue Klux Klan power structure that also is embedded even in the police union. So they can fire you from your job, but guess what? You come on back before the police union, and the same old boys that you running around with jumping out, beating up people, are the same ones sitting on the board, in many cases cheering. And we say, don't worry about it, we'll fire you, but we're going to give you your job back. Or worse yet, like what happened here in Alexandria with the allegation against former Chief of Police Gerald King. I mean, you talk about mouthpieces in office, Aquarius Brown debacle. You talk about so much that went on through his administration. Only to be, not terminated, but to allow to give him the golden parachute or the golden launch and resign to keep his retirement, and then he walks right over there and gets a job, a high-paying job, mind you, at the Rapides Parish Sheriff's Office. So same thing about me, whether it's the Sheriff's Office or whether it's Baton Rouge PD, same way here in Alexandria. At what point do we break these institutions up? And this is what I call defunding the police. Defunding this mechanism of institutionalized systemic racism with impunity. How do we do that and make sure that there are different folks on the police union, and that's like the people who are investigating the police and internal affairs, going home and sleeping with the people that are investigating. Even the people, it doesn't make any sense. Internal affairs divisions are useless, they're a waste of money. State police investigations into police misconduct and wrongful death, homicide, you and I know, are useless because they never ever come up with a conviction. In my 20 years of doing the show, I've never seen them. But once, and even their involvement, it was the sheriff then who removed the Colfax deputy who shot a black man 5 times in the back, back in the day, maybe 8 or 9, 10 years ago. We didn't get to the state police front because the state police would have found, we're with the local authorities, they were within their authority to do so. So, I'm tired of that noise. I'm tired of that noise. I'm tired of nothing getting done. And then we have to go to a federal court for a civil suit, and guess who's sitting on the bench? White racists who used to drink in separate water fountains. I mean, where do you get justice? You might get a little money, but then you go get no justice, and then you get money, it's going to be change and not dollars. And that's not no justice, Mike.
you're so right, man. We had some legislatures trying to push bills that curtail law enforcement. But these low-down legislatures from these small rural towns, man, come down to Baton Rouge and they band together, and it's hard to break that. Wall, man. I've been in committees time in and time out, man. You might win in one committee, but when you get on down the line, those cats, man, band together. And so we still have qualified immunity. That's the shield. That's what they're hiding behind, qualified immunity. We never get rid of qualified immunity, which basically says if the officer does something in the line of duty and is against the laws of other duties that he has, he can't be held personally liable. If you saw these cats personally liable, and you can nail right on the head, because they reside with full benefits. In the state police case, the guy that killed Ronald Green, what he did, he conked out, committed suicide, flying down the road at 100 miles an hour, went up a cliff, nobody around, went up a cliff, he died with full benefit, and his wife and children did a full retirement.
Yeah.
Where did he do that?
Only in Louisiana, brother. Let me ask you this. As a result of this new revelation and these pictures that are going to surface into Ronnie Robinson's case, is there anything that can be done, on this, as a result of this new evidence, which isn't new, it's just been covered up?
Well, on the criminal side, if they committed murder has no statute of limitations. So, they can be held. On the civil suit, there's some issues that they have to work through, but clearly, man, if there's some cats that's still on the police force, we want to get rid of them. We want the police chief or the new police chief to fire them. We want Willamore. Bring a grand jury. Let the grand jury look through that, Mr. Hiller. They want to do it because he's the police side of the criminal justice system. If we don't want to do it, let the grand jury look through it. Let them determine whether or not they should be charged or not. I wouldn't put it on them. Let them do it and we fine with whatever they find. But let's get it through the system. Let's let them get lawyers, let them charge it, let them bond out. Let's see if the system really works for everybody. Let them get bonds. Let them get bonds. Let them hire lawyers. Let them go through the system because it works for us. If it works for us or against us, it should work for them or against them too.
Absolutely, but one day we'll break up this monotony of systemic racism, white privilege, and officers who just have more hate in them against people of color, in the state, and it's all residue. It's all residue from slavery. I don't care what they say. It's all connected in the traditional, hand-me-down, heirloom racism that they pass on from generation to generation to try to keep black people down and quote, in their place. So, God bless you for speaking out. We appreciate you, and thanks a lot, Brother President. God bless you.
And one day we shall be free.
Amen.
We fight on. No justice.
No peace. No justice. No peace. And when we fight,
we win.
All right, big brother. You take care, my friend.
Thank you, big wide.
Thank you, brother. One day, baby. One day, I always say, one day we'll get, a little credit or something about this. But until then, we got the people and we got our listeners. More eyes over when we come back, folks. Don't go away.
Eyes Open with Tony Brown on FM 107.5 The Vibe and 1110 AM KGTP Alexandria Pineville.
Rapides Primary Healthcare Center is your federally They are now accepting new patients. Are you tired of spending long hours in hospital emergency rooms waiting to receive non-critical healthcare services? Do you need affordable medical, dental, and mental health care? Do you need quality health care for you and your baby for prenatal, during pregnancy, and up until adulthood? Do you need to sign your family up for the Affordable Care Act or Medicaid? Then look no further than Rapides Primary Healthcare Center. It is the affordable, timely answer to all your family's health care needs. All services are available to anyone regardless of their ability to pay. You or your family will never be turned away. Rapides Primary is certified kid med site with a sliding fee scale. Payment is based on income and size of family. Medicaid, Medicare, and most commercial insurance are accepted for medical services. For appointments and information on all medical services, including Obamacare and Medicaid, call 318-487-4400. That's 318-487-4400. Rapides Primary Healthcare Center, a new beginning in quality health care and a proud impact partner of the Eyes Open Radio Network.
Hello, Sinla. I'm Dr. Kelvin Spears, Chief Medical Officer of Alexandria Emergency Hospital, located at 5900 Coliseum Boulevard, next to Wendy's. Our mission at Alexandria Emergency Hospital is to provide our patients, both adults and children, with the best possible healthcare experience, with short wait times and a relaxing environment. Alexandria Emergency Hospital is open 24/7, 365. We have board-certified doctors available for expert pediatric and adult care for both inpatient and ER services. We can provide outpatient services like MRI, X-ray, ultrasound, and CT scans. We have a clinical lab and on-site pharmacy and can facilitate inpatient stays through our state-of-the-art hospital rooms. For more information about our services, you can give us a call at 318-386-8110. That's 318-386-8110. Or visit us online at www.alexandriaer.com. Again, I'm Dr. Kelvin Spears, and remember, for all your emergency needs, come see us at Alexandria Emergency Hospital, your hometown ER and hospital.
Eye-catching elegance, compelling styles, luxurious comfort. These are the features you look for in your furniture. At Trotters, it's what we're all about, and choosing your look gets easier with our design consultants Molly Hunt and Rebecca Smith. Trotters has 2 stories and over 20,000 square feet of Central Louisiana's most sought-after furniture, and it's all available with 24 months no-interest financing. Your home is your favorite place. Love it even more with new furniture, because everything's better when you get it from Trotters.
Hi, this is Bianca Brown, the Mobile Scentsy Lady. Are you looking for a dream job? Well, you need to give me a call today. I'm looking for new recruits to join my team of Scentsy consultants. Join Scentsy today and get your starter kit for only $99 plus shipping and tax. Benefits include additional income, flexibility, incredible friendships, world-class training, recognition, personal growth, discounts on amazing Scentsy products, and the opportunity to earn fabulous incentive trips around the world like the all-expense paid trip I earned to Cancun, Mexico. Interested in joining Scentsy? Give me a call today at 318-618-1832. That's 318-618-1832. Please refer to my website, lapeacefulsense.scentsy.us, for our income disclosure statement.
Hey y'all, spring is here and you're ready to get out and celebrate. Here's what's happening around the state. June 3rd through 5th, Bugs and Bands in Kickapoo. June 4th through 6th, Balmange in Gaines and Sicilian Heritage Festival in Independence. June 5th, the Peach Festival in Ruston and Cajun Country Jam in Gonzales. So make your plans to laissez les bon temps rouler.
This is Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser. Plan your road trip at LouisianaIsATrip.com.
All right, we're back right here on your premier morning news magazine, top of the morning to you on this mellow Monday. It wasn't the type of session that got wrapped up Thursday we're accustomed to seeing here in Louisiana, since typically there's a lot of debate over money. It was relatively calm final day at the Capitol after a 9-week session that spent a large amount of coronavirus recovery money, refigured the state's tax structure, and had almost all the debates on financial issues shoved aside as lawmakers found themselves arguing over social issues more than anything else. Among the social issues, lawmakers sent bills to expand the use of Louisiana's medical marijuana program to the point where the flower is going to be introduced. The governor probably will sign it. And medicinal marijuana in the flower, which is the non-processing variety, which tends to be a lot less expensive because the tincture mechanism that they have now is really only for the affluent and the people who need the medicine the most. Disproportionately, older people, African Americans, aren't able to get it because it's not covered by insurance. Many of whom who want the flower, are traveling right up there over to Texarkana or even to Jackson, Mississippi, where medicinal marijuana program was way ahead of Louisiana, offering the flower. There's also the decriminalization, speaking of marijuana, of small amounts of marijuana, I think half an ounce or less, which amounts to 13 grams or so, 14 grams. I don't know particularly the incremental amount, but I know it's less than half a gram. You definitely don't want a scale in your car when they pull you over, or have it broken down into nickel or $10 bags if they still have that, like they did in my college days. Juneteenth, which made a state holiday. And the the legislative Black Caucus used their black power to remove the House of Representative Education Committee chair, who made a verbal snafu in saying the good, the bad, and the ugly as it pertains to slavery. When you add that to African American history being added as a requirement to receive the Taylor Opportunity Programs or top scholarship program, despite the fact that most of that money, I'll say 70 to 80% is going to middle-class white people. Not its original purpose, but once you give a mouse a cheese, it's hard to get that cheese, to move that cheese back. So we just have to deal with it and come up with it. And I think they came up with something else, some sort of grant. But I want to go live up there to Shreveport, Louisiana, fresh out of course, the legislative session. My state representative for the Shreveport area, distinguished gentleman, a Democrat, and the chair on the House side of the Louisiana Democratic Caucus, my good friend Sam Jenkins. Rep, always a pleasure, and welcome back to Eyes Open.
Hey, good morning, Tony. It's good to be with you. Good morning to everyone that's listening in. Good to be with you this morning.
Always. Let's talk about what they did in the final hours, so to speak, of the legislative session that's going to have a disproportionately impact on African Americans and poor people, basically doing like some 25 other Republican governor-controlled states that have denied or will basically stamped out the federal portion of the unemployment that was so crucial during the pandemic. That came up at the very last minute. Didn't seem like a surprise to Republicans, but did that catch the Democrats off guard here?
Not necessarily. That was an agreement made by the state labor leaders along with the business industry. Let's make sure everybody understands what happened here. Louisiana has one of the lowest state weekly benefits in the nation, around $247 a week. And then because of the pandemic, the federal government came in and added an additional $300 a week. Now that $300 federal supplement was designed to come off sometime this year in August or September.
Yes.
When children would return to school and give parents a little more flexibility to return to work.
Mm-hmm.
I believe what the labor leaders were trying to do was to agree to let the federal supplement in, and in January, let's increase permanently the amount we pay as a state benefit. I think that's what the trade-off was.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that.
but it looks like the governor said that was a good compromise, at least according to the language that I heard him speak. At the wrap-up of his press briefing on Thursday. So they had to work this out in the back door somewhere, but it was the first time that the hundreds of thousands of Louisianans who depend on that unemployment were to hear this, that basically their unemployment is going to be cut by more than half now at the end of January as opposed to the end of September.
Yeah, and I agree. Hopefully that it doesn't present significant hardships. We're hoping that the economy will allow people to return to work. A lot of businesses are reopening. But I think what the labor leaders were looking at, and it brought me some pain too, but I believe what the labor leaders were looking at is that there need to be an increase in the state pay, because that federal supplement is not designed to last forever.
That's right.
However, if people are out of work, they need to depend upon a good state benefit going forward, and I believe that's what the trade-off was.
I agree, but to mitigate the whole situation of people being on unemployment is for Louisiana to get in the game of increasing the minimum wage to a livable wage. Isn't that the real issue, Sam?
That's a real issue, and unfortunately, the will of the legislature right now just simply has not been for increasing the minimum wage. There's a strong lobby that's against it. Most of the bills that have come forward have not been able to make it out of committee. But we will continue to fight and argue for the need for minimum wage increase, also for equal pay for women who are in the workforce, and many other issues like that that will help people come out of poverty. We can continue to have a lot of philosophy on these issues, but the reality is if someone is working on the job, they should be able to make ends meet, and we're not able to do that in this state at this time without increasing our minimum wage.
I see here in the final hours of the session, lawmakers also passed a bill that will prohibit government agencies from refusing to issue licenses, permits, and degrees, or barring access to public facilities to someone who hasn't received a COVID-19 vaccine. Are we going to, because Louisiana has one of the lowest vaccination rates in the country, we have at least 15 states that haven't achieved at least 50% of COVID vaccine among adults. Louisiana is at about 33%, far shy from, of course, President Joe Biden's goal of getting a 70%, almost to herd immunity, at least one shot in an adult by July the 4th. How do we mitigate that? Because in Louisiana, I know in some places they're offering some program where you get a free soda at a restaurant or a free beer or a drink at a bar. But when you see the Vaxamillions taking place in other states that have put cash, in Washington State, they're doing, marijuana cigarettes for shots, and other places are which that hasn't really gone out too well. But when they offer money, cash, you have people winning $1 million, $400,000. We've seen those numbers rise up. It's unfortunate, Sam, you would have to agree, that we have to pay people to choose a vaccine that has been shown scientifically to increase the quality of life and prevent them from dying from COVID-19, but still overwhelmingly in these southern states, particularly in these red-controlled states, particularly white people over the age of 50, even a lot of nurses and medical professionals are not going to take the shot, and they feel that any mandate requiring them to do so is violating their civil rights.
I think at this time we are still not looking at a mandate. We're still trying to encourage people to take the vaccine. We see the COVID numbers are going down since the vaccine has been on the scene. So all we can really do is encourage people to do it. I know some employers are doing some things to incentivize, their employees to take the vaccine. I'm not hearing that the state is going to get into any kind of cash for vaccine type exchange or anything along those lines. But right now, there's still a strong push to publicize the vaccine and make it available to as many people as possible, to continue to encourage employers as well as state institutions to have people to take the vaccine. I believe that's where we are with it right now. And as you said, I think the proof is in the pudding. Ever since the vaccine that was developed and put out there, we're not seeing the level of deaths, Tony, that we were seeing, where people were dying every day from this dreaded disease. That's not incentive enough. I don't know what else it's going to take. I have taken the vaccine. My wife has taken the vaccine. I have not had any kind of complications from it. And I would encourage people to roll up their sleeves, take the vaccine, and protect yourself. Even now, do not think that COVID is completely gone away. You still need to take safety measures, especially if you're into large crowds. I know we have allowed people to kind of resume some normalcy, but you still need to take measures to protect yourself.
Absolutely, and with that said, it was good to see you and your lovely wife up at the Bayou Classic up there in Shreveport, your hometown, after have taken the vaccine, and myself included. So it was great just to get out. If you want to wear a mask, of course, those were encouraged to do so even with the vaccine. So it was good seeing you guys up there the last time I saw you and your lovely wife up there. Let's talk about something I know that was near and dear to your heart. Let's talk about decriminalizing marijuana possession. We know about mass incarceration. We know how it has devastated my communities by taking black men specifically and targeting them for prison and for jail. And simply, Sam, the state can't continue to lock people up for nonviolent offenses like marijuana when if you got an ailment, you can get a legal prescription to walk into a pharmacy and get the stuff. So, why on one hand we have, decriminalized it in some aspect to have a very, a medicinal marijuana program that now will be even offered a flower. And on the other hand, when we find people who may be self-medicating for whatever reason, or, maybe recreational use for small amounts, still paying a $300 fine and going to jail for up to 15 days. It's an oxymoron. It doesn't make any sense.
You're absolutely right. First of all, we're very happy about the medicinal marijuana program. Now that the raw marijuana and flower is going to be there, it can become much more affordable.
That's right.
To people, and there's a whole lot, more uses with the flower as opposed to the present way that we have to put it into a pill or some kind of liquid formula for people to take. So
yes.
I'm encouraged to see that program continues to grow and to develop. Now, what we did and what I hope we had done was decriminalize the possession of marijuana altogether.
Yeah.
And we had bills that could have done that. We had bills that could have also, had the recreational marijuana available, but those bills did not make it out. What we did do was decriminalize the possession of marijuana. If you got 14 grams or less, rather than an arrest and jail time, it's going to simply be a fine of $100, and you can just simply be issued a summons for it. It is a step in the right direction.
It is.
But I think other steps need to be made. There are too many people whose lives have simply been wrecked behind possessing small amounts of marijuana for their personal use. I'm not advocating that people, do that, but I do know this, and you said it. We cannot continue to give people criminal records, jail records. We cannot continue to put people in jail behind small amounts of marijuana in their possession for their personal use. And I just hope that the state, based upon the debates we had this session, will begin to take further steps to decriminalize marijuana altogether.
One other thing that I'm proud of, not only you guys using the power that we gave you, our voice of, and I call it Black Power, but the Legislative Black Caucus really standing up and what I would amount to a filibuster of the tax legislation that Louisiana certainly needed, but to say we're not going to participate in that vote until you get rid of this guy that has some race issues. He needs to take a sensitivity class. I remember being down there a couple of weeks. I saw him walking down the hall. But y'all stuck together and y'all use the black power that we have bestowed upon y'all to get not only that done, but many other things that many people thought couldn't be achieved this session.
That's true. I'm a very proud member of the Louisiana Legislative Black Caucus, and in the wake of the issue with the critical race theory and the way that blew up.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Very disruptive in the legislature. I'm proud of the fact that we were able to come together, reach out to the Speaker and the leadership of the House to address what was said by the chairman of our Education Committee. I do not want to demonize him, but I am saying those words, as you know, echoed around the nation. And I think, it ended up being a situation where we could not have a chairman of our Education Committee that, impacts educating the children of this state, making statements like the one that he made. Is unfortunate that he did, but I think we came together and did some things to make sure that that was not something that we were just going to sit down on and not have some response. In addition to that, the Black Caucus, as well as the Democratic Caucus, working together, did a lot to try to fight off a lot of the voter suppression bills that were coming through. I'm happy that we were able to add an additional 4 days to early voting for presidential elections.
Okay.
We were able to add additional time that someone could be in the voting machine, especially when you have a very long ballot, ballots that have a lot of constitutional amendments on it. So, and we were able to fight off a lot of other voter suppression bills that were trying to move through the Louisiana legislature as well as through other state legislatures. So there were a lot that we worked on to do. As we look forward now to celebrating Juneteenth, we have now made that a state holiday. I believe that was a significant achievement. I was happy to carry a bill, and I hope that we can spend some time on another show.
Absolutely.
We have so many people who have caught a felony conviction out there, Tony, who believe that they cannot vote. And we need to really let people know that because you have a felony conviction, that does not disenfranchise you from voting. I carried a bill to make it clear that if you have a felony conviction and you was not incarcerated for it, your right to vote has not been suspended. And even if you have been incarcerated, after you're released 5 years later, you could also be reinstated to vote. Tens of thousands of people are out there now feeling as though they're disenfranchised because they really don't have a good understanding of the fact that a felony conviction does not stop you from being able to vote in state or federal elections, and that's something we need to get out to people so they could go ahead and make sure that they can participate in the political process.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think certainly under the leadership of Ted James and the Legislative Black Caucus that you guys would maybe raise some resources to put the information out specifically on black radio, on black media, whether it's the newspaper, and do an advertising campaign to that effect, because it's really not in the interest of Republicans in a white power structure to inform people who have a felony arrest that they still have a legal right to vote. It's not in their interest. They're not gonna bark on that issue. But if we can get with your help, get Ted and them to raise some resources and do your own advertising campaign, and not only that, hit the street, door knocking, all of that, because this is going to be very important. Next session, you guys going to be dealing with changing the political lines, so to speak, of not only the House, the Senate, but you talk about the Bessie board when redistricting occurs. I think that should be something that should be at the forefront and should be at the utmost of the Legislative Black Caucus agenda.
Yeah, we are definitely looking at redistricting. We believe we will have a special session just on redistricting. We will be going around the state. I serve on that committee, House and Governmental Affairs. We will be going around the state on listening tours, different parts of the state to hear what people have to say about it. But you're absolutely right, Tony. That is going to be a very, very important redistricting session that we're going to have. It'll set the lines for the next 10 years. And we want to make sure that we do nothing to reduce minority representation or Democrat representation in the legislature. We also want to make certain that we can make some of the districts a little bit more moderate, where more candidates can participate, and we don't have such a polarized body of elected officials coming out of this process.
Well, absolutely, I agree. Some people are going to lose. Most of the people are going to be okay and win with it, but some people are going to lose, and you know how that goes. I was also, before I let you go, Representative, I was also extremely, really shocked that kindergarten was not a requirement in the state of Louisiana, or a mandate for our children to finish kindergarten before they go on to the next level, the first grade or what have you. This was very important. We've talked to Senator Cleo Fields, who came up with the legislation. We've also last week talked to Ted James as well. So how important is this going to be specifically in the African American community, when it talks to our posterity, and when we look at the high dropout rate connected to the mass incarceration rate, because a lot of children just aren't getting it, even in those formidable years. So getting a year's jump in a classroom as a kindergarten should hopefully mitigate some of our problems down the line when it comes to lack of education, even meeting the TOPS requirement in the African American community, which has been dismal for the last 2 decades or more.
This is a step in the right direction. You know, there's been a strong focus on early childhood education, and now with kindergarten being mandatory, you know, to try to have children prepared to go through grade school is extremely important. Those are the formative years, and this will certainly help because, you know, prior to this, you have some children who may be getting some formalized education, but you had many who are not. Now, we can try to get everybody on the same playing field, make sure that they're exposed to the educational process. And like I said, these are the formative years, and I supported that bill and believe that we're going to get some very good results from that. I know there are many who feel like that's too young, but a good education needs to start as early as possible. All statistics are showing that. I'm glad to know that Louisiana is going in that direction.
Well, I appreciate you for your time, sir. Thank you for being just upfront and transparent with us and giving us access to yourself, and for, of course, answering every last question I was able to ask you this morning.
Well, look, thank you, Tony. We appreciate you. Appreciate you getting information out to the community, so please keep up the good work.
God bless you, Sam. You take care. Tell your lovely wife I said hello.
Thank you, my friend. Take care.
All right. That's our representative, Sam Jenkins, a distinguished gentleman out of Shreveport, Louisiana, also chair of the House side of the Louisiana Democratic Conference. Wise open when we come back.
With Tony Brown on FM 107.5, The Vibe, and 1110 AM, KGTP, Alexandria, Pineville.
Hello everyone, I'm Tony Brown. This is your statewide news you can use on this terrific Tuesday. It's the 15th day of the month of June. News being brought to you by the Alexandria Emergency Room Hospital. The Alexandria Police Department has made an arrest in the homicide cases that occurred back in December the 5th of 2019. They happened in the 5600 block of Eddie Williams Avenue. Alexandria police say 24-year-old Sterling T. Brown of Alexandria has been charged with second-degree murder in the incident. This is an ongoing investigation. They say if anyone has any other information about the incident, please contact the Alexandria Police Department at 318-449-5099. RPSO just released the full list of suspects arrested for the Liberty Arsenal deadly shooting that took place last month on May the 7th. Over a month since the incident took place. 21-year-old Eric Dwayne Dixon Jr. was arrested on May the 8th for first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder, was released on a $50,000 bond after Monday's bond reduction hearing. 20-year-old Clyron Damon Price, arrested on May the 10th for 2 counts of obstruction of justice, accessory after the fact, flight from an officer, careless operation of a vehicle, distribution of CDS-1, illegal carrying of a weapon with drugs, remains in jail on a $225,000 bond. 23-year-old Ramont Lamar Jackson was arrested May the 11th for first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder and remains in jail on a $4 million bond. 23-year-old LaClarius Dion Augustine was arrested also on May the 11th for first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, obstruction of justice, and criminal damage to property. Of course, his bond has been set at $4.2 million. And 23-year-old Darian Saquon Simmons was arrested on May the 18th for obstruction of justice and accessory after the fact and released on a $20,000 bond. That is the full list of names and the people who have been arrested, all young men, all African American, all from Alexandria in the Liberty Arsenal robbery and shooting. The Rapides Parish Sheriff's Office and Crime Stoppers is asking the public's help to identify a male suspect. According to Crime Stoppers, the male is described as 18 to 25 years old, was seen pouring alcohol down the throat of a victim multiple times. He appears to be 5 feet 8 to 6 inches in height and about 145 to 160 pounds. The suspect is wanted for negligent homicide. Crime Stoppers said the victim passed out for
from severe intoxication and died at Christus St. Francis Cabrini Hospital back on May the 31st at around 7 a.m. A 85-year-old woman died in a three-vehicle crash that involved the Livingston Parish fire truck, officials announced Monday. Gail Ripple of Denham Springs was driving south on Pete's Highway near Bay Street on Sunday morning when a fire truck from Fire Protection District Number 5 in the northbound lane crashed into the rear of a trailer being towed by another northbound vehicle. The two vehicles crossed the center line, colliding with Ripple's car, according to the release issued by the Fire Protection District. Ripple died after being taken to the hospital. Officials said Cody Call, the driver of the fire truck, was also brought to the hospital, where was later released. A third driver, who officials identified as Luis Constanza Jr. of Albany, refused medical attention at the scene. Officials said Call underwent a routine toxicology report at the hospital, although impairment is not suspected as a factor in the crash. Fire Chief Joe Kozłowski said in an interview Monday afternoon that his crew's fire truck was driving at the speed limit in the northbound lane of Pete's Highway when the crash occurred. The driver of the fourth car tried to make a left turn into the northbound lane of the highway in front of the vehicle towing a trailer, the chief said, effectively sandwiching the trailer towing vehicle between the fire engine and the turning car. Call tried to slow the engine to avoid the two vehicles in front of him, but fire trucks can't stop on a dime. The chief said the young firefighter struck the trailer ahead of him as he was trying to quickly slow down. Then the chief said he tried to get off the road into the ditch, but the lady was too close, and he ended up hitting her car as she was trying to get off the road. The car then turned into the road, was not damaged in the crash. Two people died in a fatal crash on Interstate 12 Saturday morning at about 1:55 in the morning, according to Baton Rouge Police. A 2016 Chevrolet Malibu and a Volvo semi-truck with dual trailers slowed to a stop on the 700 block of Interstate 12 westbound between Millerville Road and South Sherwood Forest Boulevard for another fatal crash when another semi crashed into the end of the Malibu, which then hit the Volvo semi in front of it. Two people were inside the Malibu stuck between the two trucks, 26-year-old Sherdwin Williams and 24-year-old Evie Jefferson, and died at the scene. A driver died Sunday night following a crash on Florida Boulevard in Baton Rouge. The police say that a Chevrolet Impala was being driven eastbound on Florida Boulevard at about 10:05 p.m. and crashed into the front driver's side of a Honda Accord traveling northbound on North 19th Street. The driver of the Accord, 21-year-old Lexus Felton, died at the scene. A passenger in the car was transported to the hospital with life-threatening injuries, and the driver of the Impala was transported to a local hospital with minor injuries. Baton Rouge police said detectives believe the Accord's driver ran a red light at the intersection. A car caught fire on Acadian Thruway near Perkins Road on Monday. Smoke was billowing out of the black PT Cruiser sitting in the center lane. Firefighters were on the scene and dousing the flames. The car was sitting at the red light at the intersection of two roads when it began smoking, according to the Baton Rouge Fire Department. The driver told the fire department that the car had been experiencing ongoing mechanical problems, which likely caused the fire. The fire department said no injuries were reported. Descendants of the late LSU leader Troy H. Middleton filed a lawsuit Monday seeking the return of his collection, which is being displayed at the LSU Military Museum, but also asked for money for being embarrassed by the university that disavowed him as a racist. Though the lawsuit seeks monetary damages for extreme humiliation and embarrassment, the Middleton family attorney Jill Kraft of Baton Rouge said the real point is to get back Troy Middleton's papers and memorabilia, rather than punish the LSU Board of Supervisors for its June 2020 decision to remove his name from the main library on the Baton Rouge campus because of statements and efforts Middleton made as LSU president from 1951 to 1962. Kraft said Monday, it's not as related to that as it is to the whole notion that LSU took a position to vilify General Middleton, said they wanted no reminders of him on campus, and said, "Come get your stuff." Kraft said Monday, if the family cannot peacefully retrieve their property, then obviously they're entitled to monetary damages. The family arrived at the LSU A&M campus in Baton Rouge several times to collect the Middleton collection, but couldn't. LSU raised several differing excuses about why, according to the lawsuit was filed by Bingham Middleton Stewart, Emily Middleton Sereno, both of Baton Rouge, and Troy Houston Middleton III of Mobile. The family made arrangements to transfer the collection to the U.S. Army 45th Infantry Museum in Oklahoma City and formally asked on February 23rd for its return. LSU responded on April 14th, advising that the university would be keeping approximately one-half of the collection. State Superintendent of Education Cade Brumley's plan to overhaul how Louisiana rates public schools has sparked such a political uproar that leaders of the state's top school board took the unusual step of delaying debate on the issue that was supposed to begin today. The proposal, which includes changes that will reduce the number of D and F rated schools, triggered pushback from critics. They said the move would water down academic standards in a state that has long been near the bottom of the student achievement list. Leaders of some education advocacy groups said they were caught off guard by Brumley's plan, which earlier appeared headed for final approval on Wednesday. Others complained to the State Board of Elementary and Secondary Education, which then yanked the item from the board's June agenda until a future date. The East Ascension Drainage District has acted in a way that is manifestly arbitrary and unreasonable when it refused for years to maintain roadside ditches in the town of Sorrento, even though the city's residents paid drainage taxes, a state judge has found. Judge Jason Verdiger ruled that the drainage district has a legal duty to perform ditch and culvert maintenance inside the town limits under ballot language voters have approved and renewed since the 1980s. The ruling hands the town and its ongoing mayor, Mike Lambert, an important legal victory after a multi-year fight to have the parish drainage district acknowledge that it couldn't carve out the town from the roadside ditch maintenance conducted in the unincorporated portions of Eastern Ascension Parish. And finally, voters will be asked in October to extend a property tax that generates millions of dollars a year for Baton Rouge's bus system. The Capital Area Transit System unanimously approved Monday two propositions, one for the city of Baton Rouge and one for the city of Baker. If approved, the funds from the tax will be used to increase the availability of the bus system, decrease wait lines, improve bus stops, and fund the operation of the system according to the proposition language. The election will be held on my birthday, October the 9th. I'm Tony Brown. That's your statewide news you can use on this terrific Tuesday. Have a safe and a blessed day. Rapides Primary Health Care Center is your federally qualified community health care center and is located at 1217 Willow Glen River Road in Alexandria. They are now accepting new patients. Are you tired of spending long hours in hospital emergency rooms waiting to receive non-critical health care services? Do you need affordable medical, dental, and mental health care? Do you need quality health care for you and your baby for prenatal, during pregnancy, and up until adulthood? Do you need to sign your family up for the Affordable Care Act or Medicaid? Then look no further than Rapides Primary Health Care Center. It is the affordable, timely answer to all your family's health care needs. All services are available to anyone regardless of their ability to pay. You or your family will never be turned away. Rapides Primary is certified KidMed site with a sliding fee scale. Payment is based on income and size of family. Medicaid, Medicare, and most commercial insurance are accepted for medical services. For appointments and information on all medical services, including Obamacare and Medicaid, call 318-487-4400. That's 318-487-4400. Rapides Primary Healthcare Center, a new beginning in quality health care and a proud impact partner of the Eyes Open Radio Network.
Hey y'all, spring is here and you're ready to get out and celebrate. Here's what's happening around the state. June 3rd through 5th, Bugs and Bands in Kickapoo. June 4th through 6th, Bon Mange in Gaines and Sicilian Heritage Festival in Independence. June 5th, the Peach Festival in Ruston and Cajun Country Jam in Gonzales. So make your plans to laissez le bon temps rouler.
This is Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser. Plan your road trip at LouisianaIsATrip.com.
Despicable Me, really cute. I ain't mad at you though. I like the Minions. You know why? Why do I like the Minions cute? Because they look like Twinkies. Every time I look at them, it reminds me of a Twinkie. Back in the day when we used to eat the Twinkie, which, as you know, you could put that in what do you call those time capsules, Q? You could put a Twinkie in a Times capsule and open it up a century later, and guess what? That Twinkie will still be there. May not be edible, some that is debatable, but anywho, it is hot, it is too hot, and let's go to Alex Donato. He's a meteorologist with the National Weather Service out of Lake Charles. Hey, Alex, you like Twinkies?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, don't those little minion characters, you've seen them, don't they remind you of Twinkies with eyes?
They kind of do.
Yeah, okay. I didn't think it was just me, you know. But anywho, how old does a Twinkie have to be for you to consume it? What is the absolutely time limit on holding on to a Twinkie before it's when it's no longer consumable, in your opinion?
Gosh, I guess I would have to ask if it's still in the packaging or not.
Well, yeah, no, it's going to be in the packaging, the little individual wraps.
Well, I've heard stories that they can last for a really long time. So,
Yeah, so you've heard those rumors too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I would say, I'm not going to go past the date on the box. That's just how I roll, you know? If
that
they
makes
say,
sense.
yeah, it does, but, you know, they say Twinkies, you know, last forever, just like love. You, Alex. Let's talk about this hot temperature, man. Yeah, it was in the 90s up here. Did we reach 100? And certainly we had to reach over triple digits in the heat indices in some portions of the state.
Yeah, there were definitely heat indices above 100 yesterday, and we're looking at another really hot day today as well.
Well, speaking of heat, is it creating any major problems here in Louisiana? Because, you know, we tend to be a little bit cooler than most, but, you know, I'm seeing what's going on the West Coast, in Nevada as well as Arizona, man, and then now they have those potential, those wildfires because the temperatures are hot, the ground is dry, and the brush is like timber, kindling,
yeah.
so to speak. So they have some major problems over there. Is this heat wave we're experiencing, even though the summer has not officially begun? I think that kicks off this weekend, but, you know, is this an indication of something worse that is going to come this summer?
Well, you know, we are looking at the hotter temperatures. Thankfully, you know, we have been very wet recently, so we're not expecting, you know, the same issues that are occurring out west with regards to wildfires. But, you know, as we are heading more and more into that summer pattern, we are going to be expecting, you know, these daytime thunderstorms to occur. You know, we often are very humid as we head into the summer, so we don't necessarily expect temperatures to be this high very often, but sometimes when we have high pressure building in northerly flow, you know, it can be conducive for these higher temperatures on occasion.
Well, and not only that, we have to be mindful that when people go outdoors, that they try to refrain from going outdoors and doing any sort of outdoor activity during the hottest portions of the day, particularly the elderly, and of course with summer, parents, be mindful of your small children over exhausting themselves, because, you know, they may not know the symptoms of heat stroke, and, you know, kids are like Energizer bunnies, you know, they just, you know, I'm hot, that's all, just drink some water. But it's a lot more serious than that. So how long will we continue this, and will we get some respite with some maybe rain coming up in the next several days?
Yeah, so we are going to be expecting these high temperatures through the next few days, although we are going to be gradually cooling down as we head towards the end of the week into the weekend, where rain chances are going to start increasing again.
Okay, that's good news. Hey, thanks a lot, Alex. You have a great day, okay?
All right, you too.
That's Alex Donato, meteorologist with the National Weather Service out of Lake Charles, with, of course, your state. All right, we're back right here on your premier morning news magazine, and every other Friday, starting with this Friday, we'd like to welcome, of course, my fraternity brother, Attorney Walter Gabriel, the people's lawyer. And, of course, he's going to be a very familiar face, folks. He gets a lot of FaceTime on, of course, Court TV. They have him on Court TV 2 to 3 times a week, certainly for the past month or so. So we got him, and we knew him when he wasn't nobody, but just a good attorney. So now he's getting a lot of national FaceTime, and believe me, this is going to be a face that you're going to see on national television. He is a legal analysis. He gives a legal analysis for various cases throughout the world. So I'm quite proud of you. Fist bump on that, Newt. We appreciate you coming in, and of course, Let's just kind of talk about that Court TV experience, man. You kind of started this maybe a couple of months ago. It started with one interview, and then, you know, what happened? What kind of experience is that?
You know, honestly, Tony, I'm just having a good time on air. It's you know, they live stream court trials, and sometimes it's two at a time. When one's on break, they'll just shoot to another. And you know, in the way I describe it to people, it's like if you watch a basketball game and it's halftime, and then they cut to Charles Barkley and the other analysts on air. Well, you know, when they're on break in court, when they lunch break or they're having a bench conference, and there's a break in the trial, they cut to the lawyers and they say, hey, what do you think about, you know, this argument this lawyer just made? What do you think about this move? Was this the right move or not? And it's just fun for me to give my take on seeing how other lawyers handle different situations. And I just say what I think about trials in the moment.
But when you think about Walter, the sheer amount of attorneys who are out there, you know, to be chosen, you know, by Court TV, and then to be asked back repeatedly, and then actually them letting you know, hey, you know, we got these days available. What time do you want? So they're actually giving you, you know, premier access by just saying, hey, not only do we want you, but you get to pick the time that you want to be on.
It's fun. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's favor right there, dude.
It is. It is favor. It's God. You know, I've been doing it for about a month now, and it's to the point where they're just,
you're regular.
You know, right after it's like, okay, when do you want to come back? You know, we got these dates, we got these times. Come back when you can.
And I know after you get off the air, which traditionally happens when you're on national television, because, you know, I'm no stranger to that, but your phone blows up, people calling you up, your family, oh, you did so well, and then there's always your wife, who will actually, you kind of messed up on that one, but your wife is never going to blow you up to so you can get the big head, but she's going to be your worst critic. And well, is your wife your worst critic?
She is.
Okay.
She is.
And she's in the business.
And she's in the business, and it's very valued. And I look to her right after I take the earbuds off. I look at her and go, okay, what this time?
What happened? What I do?
Was I looking in the camera enough? Would I look at, you know?
Did I make direct eye contact?
Eye contact, you know, those kind of things. And that stuff really helps a lot.
Well, that's good that you got someone in the business that can train you, and of course, I try to give you a few pointers as well, and you've taken those to heart as well. Well, of course, I want to introduce him as our Know Your Rights sponsor, folks. So you're going to be seeing and hearing a lot from Attorney Walter Gable, the people's lawyer. And this morning, the topic that we're talking about is certainly one that we all know about. You know, if you're a driver, 9 times out of 10, you've been pulled over by a police officer. And this morning, what we're going to talk about is let's talk about accidents. Let's talk about accidents. This is what you emailed me. We want to stick to this script, or we want to go with the one that you sent me on the phone. Is this the same thing that we're doing here, Fred?
We can go either way.
Okay. Well, see, he's that versatile now, Q. Let's talk here, because I think you sent me some stuff. Well, let's talk really about this first one. Right after an accident, what do people need to do? Because this is some good stuff. I'm going to stick to this script. Well, right after an accident, what do people need to do? Because, as a matter of fact, just yesterday I was on MacArthur Drive, and I saw a 3-car accident. The police hadn't gotten there yet. And one woman had gotten out of her car, and I think she may have been hurt, and I was like, she's going to get hit. Because, you know, sometimes traffic, when the police is not there to stop the traffic, people either panic a little bit, or they really don't know what to do, certainly if they've never been involved in an accident. So if I've been involved in an accident, what's the first thing that comes to your mind that people need to do?
Well, you know, it's and, you know, to that end of what you just said, Tony, you know, the most important thing to do right after is to make sure you're in a safe place. You know, if you can coordinate with the other drivers and say, hey, look, let's go over to the shoulder, do that first. Especially if you're in the middle of a highway, you're at a place where there's, you know, traffic that's moving fast, you got to get over. Do that, then call the police. So
a lot, I mean, because safety is the key, and not to have any further damage, because a lot of times when because I've heard somewhere, maybe, you know, don't move the car, stay put where the car is located so that the police can look at the accident, take the photos that they need. But nowadays, with the technology that we have, people can really take their own pictures before they reposition the cars, because you want traffic to flow safely, but at the same time, you want the police to understand who hit who.
Right, exactly. Yeah. You know, and yes, and taking pictures is important, you know, and you should do that at the scene. But your safety is the most important thing after that wreck. if you just pull over to the side, you can tell the officers when they arrive, what happened and who hit who where, and the officer can see based on where the vehicle damage is for each car, how the collision happened. So it's not that you're ruining your case if you're rear-ended and you feel like you have to stay put. Like that's not the case at all. You get over to a safe place and you call the police to get that police report taken down right after the wreck.
What if you are so injured that you can't get out of the vehicle?
You dial 911.
Okay,
Yeah,
immediately.
You immediately dial 911 and you don't try to move. And you let them know that it's an emergency situation, and hopefully the other drivers respond to you and they see that it's an emergency situation as well and assist you with that.
That makes sense. So again, the people's lawyer says move to a safe location, call the police, take photos of the scene if you can, if you're able to do so, and if you are hurt and injured and you can't get out of the car, dial 911 immediately and don't move. Okay, what not to do?
What not to do? Don't get out the car and start a fight with the other driver.
That happens a lot, doesn't it?
Your first reaction is, oh man, this driver, because they didn't.
It's
weren't
their
paying
fault,
attention
and
or
you
whatever.
want to, yeah.
They're messing me up. I got to get to work. I got to get to my family. I got to, they're costing me all this money. I got to fix my car now. Don't do that. You got to keep it cordial with the other driver. Exchange information if they're willing to do that. Get their insurance card, because you're going to make an insurance claim afterwards when you're out of the area. But yeah, keep it cordial, because there's no fight, no nothing is going to change what already happened. You got to fix it from there.
What if there's a situation where the accident is caused because of road rage? This person has tailgated you, has followed you, has incapacitated your vehicle, and now they're coming at you. I know I'm throwing a loop on you, but that happens.
Your safety is the most important thing.
So even if you have to drive from the scene to a safe location, if you're able to do that?
Oh yes. If that happens and this person is going to come out, and I've had clients who've dealt with road rage situations, obviously not on the phone with me because they became a client after the situation, but you just make sure you are safe. And if you have to drive away, that's fine. You just get to a safe place away from that driver. If you got to drive straight to a police station, that's fine. You do what you can to make sure you are safe. You call 911, you document it with that 911 call, because that 911 call is an official record that can be pulled afterwards. Call 911, let them know it's a road rage situation and you need help because the driver is chasing you, or you had to leave this scene for your safety. The theme with all of this is that your safety and your health is first above all.
That makes sense. And nowadays, because of technology, my brother has one, I'm talking about getting one of these dash cameras. Those, as a personal injury lawyer, certainly you, a civil rights lawyer as well, are those beneficial, and is it admissible in a legal situation when you have to go to court?
Absolutely. If it shows what happened, if it shows, that you were T-boned, sideswiped, whatever, oh yeah, that camera.
Even when you're pulled over by police?
Yes,
certainly if you look like us.
Yes, sir.
In this current environment that we're in.
And as a side note, I know we're on one topic.
Yeah, that's okay.
But if you are pulled over by the police in a traffic stop situation, thankfully nearly everybody has a smartphone. You just put that phone on record. You can put it on your dash if you're comfortable. You can put it in your cup holder. Just put it somewhere to record everything that's asked and answered between you and that officer.
So even if you can't get him on video, you can still hear the audio?
Yes. There are certain things that you may be asked at a traffic stop by a police officer. And there are reasons that the officer is asking permission, for example, to search this part of your car, permission to search the trunk.
That's a whole good topic.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to have to visit that one next time.
That.
Absolutely, because, because a lot of times people are intimidated by police, and then certainly if you're African American, you have that fear, and Lord, is this going to end badly, like as we've seen so many cases. So not only document, have your stuff together, then you could see, because a lot of cops, I don't know if they have bad days, but a lot of them are hell-bent on just, taking black people to jail or even hurting them. We've seen it here in Louisiana. It's to the point where, it was already to the point that when we're driving, it's so unfortunate that we're almost conditioned when we see lights flashing behind us in the police, we all kind of clench the steering wheel. Even you do, as an attorney, even I as a journalist. It doesn't matter what I'm driving or who I am in society or who I think I am. when police pull you over, there is that tension, that stress we feel. Lord, and the objective, and we'll have this on another show, is to make it home.
Yes. Yeah.
Make it home to that baby, to that wife, to your family. The key is not being smart enough, because some feel that we don't have the audacity. We have the audacity of having free speech. And I've seen on the opposite side, white people get out cursing cops and stealing their cars and not getting shot. It baffles me.
The funny thing, not the funny thing, but I've had a conversation with a guy who's active in his community, and he kind of told me, I struggle with what to tell kids, how to respond to police when they feel like their rights are being violated. And the answer is they gotta get back home alive.
Absolutely.
If they think their rights are being violated, that's a battle to fight for another day.
Absolutely.
Not in that conversation right there.
That's a battle for you to fight for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Correct. Call the people's lawyer, Walter Gabriel, and of course let him do that. Live to see another day.
Correct.
Yeah, because you can't have.
Thanks for tuning in to Eyes Open with Tony Brown. The show airs daily, Monday through Friday, from 6 a.m. until 9 a.m. right here on the new KTTP 1110 a.m. Alexandria, Pineville. You can also listen live on our website at www.thenewkttp.com to contact Mr. Brown or to report a concern in your community. Or maybe you would like to advertise on the Eyes Open Radio Network. Please do so via email at eyesopentbrown@yahoo.com or by